Democrats say it's either their entire wish list, all of it, or nobody gets a dime.
The bill would provide additional loans for small businesses, extend enhanced unemployment insurance, and add to education funding. But House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer say it's going nowhere. The Rochester, New York chief of police and other senior commanders retiring amid criticism of the city's handling of the investigation into the death of Daniel Prude, a black man who died several days after an encounter with police.
The chief was not asked to give his resignation.
Mayor Lovely Warren. Prude died in March after a hood was put on him to keep him from spitting, and body cam video shows him being held down by police. America is listening to Fox News.
Who knew that the same company that made the twist ties around your loaf of bread also made the face shield delivered to your front door? Packaging solutions provider Bedford Industries stepped up in a big way during the pandemic with help from NetSuite, the world's #1 cloud business system. Here's Bedford's president, Jay Milbrandt.
At Bedford, we saw an opportunity to retool our products to create face shields. Thanks to the visibility and control NetSuite provides, we had the agility to change our business overnight. In no time, NetSuite helped us launch our first e-commerce site and handled crucial details from licensing to order tracking. Now we're taking orders from around the world 24/7. We couldn't have done it without NetSuite.
NetSuite by Oracle gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need all in one place. They surveyed hundreds of business leaders and assembled a playbook of top strategies they're using as America reopens for business. Receive your free guide, 7 actions businesses need to take now, and schedule your free product tour at netsuite.com/Fox. netsuite.com/Fox.
The call's growing for Russia to investigate the apparent poisoning of an opposition leader.
United Nations Human Rights Commissioner urging Russia to investigate the alleged poisoning of opposition leader Alexei Navalny.
It's not good enough to simply deny he was poisoned.
UN spokesperson Rupert Colville saying a recent run of assassination attempts against Russians is profoundly disturbing.
It is incumbent on the Russian authorities to fully investigate who was responsible for this crime, a very serious crime that was committed on Russian soil.
Germany says Navalny was poisoned with a nerve agent. He's being treated in Berlin after collapsing in Russia last month. In London, Simon Owen, Fox News.
General Motors getting into the electric pickup business.
General Motors and Nikola will work together to make electric pickup trucks. GM is receiving a stake in the business in exchange for giving Nikola $2 billion worth of newly issued GM stock. GM will manufacture Nikola's Badger.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way.
You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring Simon to the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually.
Whoa. Hey.
Who do you think you are?
Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me? Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this?
Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
A new Gallup poll found that the GOP has an overwhelming advantage among young people who look like old men. The poll shows Republicans hold a solid lead among the coveted elderly youth demographic, including 18 to 24-year-olds who wear suspenders and bow ties to class every day. I'm joined by Republican strategist Rob Powell. These are pretty encouraging numbers for the GOP, aren't they?
Yeah, of course, it's very encouraging. Millennials who look like they're permanently dressed for boat trips are a rapidly growing segment of the population.
And according to the survey, the prematurely aged are also very politically active.
Absolutely. Only about 20% of young people vote overall, but there's almost 100% turnout among youth that dress like a dad from a 1950s sitcom.
Now, what about the criticism that the GOP only appeals to white men?
Not true. We also have a lot of support among sorority girls that wear pantsuits and pearls, paunchy Chinese college students, and we're making inroads among African American ham radio enthusiasts.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and you can call in and talk about anything that happens to be on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. And with you in the studio tonight, it's Aria.
It's Ian.
And again, that toll-free number is 855-450-3733. So it's an exciting day here in Keene. I'm not a big fan of voting, but I realized when you can go and vote for yourself and for like everyone that you're voting for is a friend of yours, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you don't get to do that in most places.
It's not the worst thing in the world in that particular case. So it's exciting. It's primary day, and a lot of us are on the ballot. I can't wait to see the results.
Yeah, nobody's on the ballot for governor. And in New Hampshire, when they decide the ballot order, it's different. It's sort of randomly chosen per town. So some places nobody will be on the top of the three choices. Other places it'll be in the middle. Other places he'll be on the bottom. And so it'll be interesting to see if there's any kind of difference. Like, do the places where nobody is the final choice actually do better than if nobody is the first choice? Because it'll appear as though it's like just some sort of third option. Like, oh, you can vote for nobody.
He was the first choice on mine.
Yeah. In ours, he was the middle choice.
Okay.
So it was different ward to ward here in Keene.
I don't know it was randomized. That's fascinating.
Yeah. He's and you're running for sheriff here in Cheshire County, so we'll be looking for results from the entire county for your race here tonight. And technically, yours isn't a race per se, in that there wasn't anyone else.
I don't think it's a race.
There wasn't anyone else who ran against you. And what was normally expected to happen for listeners, obviously you don't live here, you don't know. There is a incumbent sheriff here in Cheshire County named Eli Rivera. Now, he's got a bit of a history with the liberty activists here, being a little, let's call it aggressive towards some of the activists in the past. He managed to get himself into sheriff, and he's managed to stay there for, I think, 4 or 5 terms. This may be his 5th re-election attempt. He's been there basically the whole decade.
It's time for him to get out.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And so he's running again. But the guy who's been his opposition on the Republican side, so it's a Democrat incumbent, the guy who's been on the Republican side, Earl Nelson, didn't file this year. So he's lost year after year after year. Every 2 years there's elections here in New Hampshire. The sheriff's every 2 years. So he's lost every 2 years for the last 4 or 5 seasons. And I think that he just got so old. He's probably in his mid to late 70s at this point. I think that he just threw in the towel and said he was done, not going to run again, because he didn't.
He did not.
It's not something that he would forget about, right? Like that's a choice. And I don't think the Republicans knew that he was going to do that, and they were caught off guard. And
all of this is their fault. I would like to point out. I was going to run for state rep, but then, of course, the secretary of the Cheshire County Republican Committee decided that she was also going to run for that same position.
Right, and she hasn't been exactly friendly.
No, she hasn't. But she's the secretary, so she knows everyone.
That's right.
If her name is there, they're going to vote for her in a primary.
Right.
So it was pointless to even file. But
yeah, it was nice of her to file early so we could find that out.
Yeah, so I, looked to see whether or not Earl Nelson had filed yet. This was like a Wednesday, I think it was, maybe a Tuesday. So. And there were 2 days left to file, so I was like, all right, let's roll the dice. I'm going to file for sheriff, because I called and I couldn't file for both.
Right, and you had run as a libertarian sheriff candidate in 2018. So
I did.
It wasn't unheard of to have you running for sheriff at that point.
So it just totally took them off guard, and they evidently weren't on top of things like, Earl, you've got to go file because Aria just filed, and she's the only one who's done it. So that didn't happen.
That's why I don't think Earl wanted to file.
I don't think he did either.
He clearly didn't want to, which is weird, because then I said, all right, well, they're going to find somebody. My prediction was that they were going to run a write-in campaign against you, and it turns out I was right about that.
But but it's so half-assed.
But what I'm surprised about is that they're writing in Earl Nelson. I figured they were going to scramble and find like some other retired cop that they could get to agree, all right, you can write me in, But no, it's Earl Nelson, the same guy who obviously decided he didn't want to run this year. So it makes me wonder, did they even bother calling Earl? Did they even bother to ask him, hey, would you accept the nomination? If you won the write-in nomination, would you accept it? Do you want to actually be the candidate this year? I don't know, right? Did they actually come to him and beg him? Oh, please, Earl, we need somebody. We can't have that tranny on the ballot.
Well, even if they did go through all of those steps, the momentum I've seen for this, their outrage lasted 2 days, and then all of the other candidates got, caught up in their own primaries, and it just got completely brushed aside.
Well, don't get
that's
cocky.
I'm not getting cocky.
Okay.
I mean, anything can happen, but I will be stunned.
It would be hard. It's hard. I mean, traditionally, it's very difficult to get enough votes for a write-in candidate to even qualify, because I think you have to hit 35 here in New Hampshire to even be like considered a legit write-in candidate. But then to have that overcome the number of people who are just going to come in and check off because they went, because they were there, and you were the Republican. It's, again, just a primary ballot. So it's just your name and a blank write-in space. A bunch of people, not knowing any different, are just going to check your name off because that's just what they do.
Yep.
And so it's going to be very hard for him to surpass that.
But it's
impossible.
definitely not impossible.
It's not impossible.
I just don't think it's likely.
Yeah.
But it's been a fun day here.
You should talk about how the Republicans that did try to work against you, I think it was only 5 days ago. It wasn't that long ago when the notice went out.
No, I think they discovered this on Saturday night, or it may have been. No, it was longer ago than that. Yeah.
Okay, I feel like it's only been a week.
It was Wednesday night of last week.
Yeah, so it hasn't been that long, and they put out the notice about this, and that actually sparked people coming to your support who otherwise didn't know about you.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, a lot of them knew about me, right? But yes, I did get a lot of messages from people who had no idea that I was running. Who was like, "Hey, this is great. It's about time, right?"
You didn't have a campaign of which to speak. I mean, you'd ordered some campaign signs, you'd handed them out to some of your supporters, but there wasn't you don't have a campaign manager. There wasn't an active organization behind you, and then all of a sudden you had volunteers.
Yeah, there were probably 30 signs put up in Cheshire County for me last night.
Wow.
And I didn't put up any of them.
That's amazing.
It's just people volunteering for hey, no, that's screwed up,
Right, to have them attacking you like this. Yeah.
Like they were the ones who dropped the ball, and they're not attacking Ian Freeman. They're not attacking Matt Roach.
I'm not a tranny.
Right. That's ultimately what it comes down to, and I think that's why their campaign didn't generate any momentum.
I hope you're right. I hope that it didn't generate momentum. The thing that concerns me is that your average person isn't going to go vote in the primary. They're going to vote in November.
Yeah.
So the people who vote in a primary are the politically connected crowd, the type that listens to talk radio, the type that is connected with the Republican Party. They're getting emails from them. Those are the people who are more likely to show up, which is why I wouldn't be cocky about this. Let's celebrate if you do win, but I wouldn't celebrate earlier, because it is going to be the politicos who show up, which is going to be the part that you have to overcome. And we'll see.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
I do know that some people who ordinarily don't go out and vote did go out and vote today simply because they're friends of mine and, they wanted to go and vote for me and show their support. And that's great. I don't know how many of these. I mean, it's not like the Cheshire County Republicans really did a lot to try to put the word out about my existence.
Yeah, it was last minute.
Yeah.
It was a half-assed last-minute email or whatever that they sent.
It was a post on Facebook.
I'm pretty sure I got an email too. Probably was both.
I haven't seen an email.
Okay.
And the person who's been monitoring this sort of thing for me has not relayed any email to me. I would love to know that such an email existed.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to have that forwarded to me, by the way. But yeah,
right,
so
I'll take a look.
I can't wait to see the results. It's primary day here in New Hampshire. I like how they tried to give me one of those stupid asinine "I voted" stickers. Of course, they didn't even let you do that, did they? They didn't offer you a sticker.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about what happened when nobody, Matt, my roommate, and I, all three of us, we carpooled down to go, because we all vote in the same place. You live in a different part of town, right. So there's 5 different wards here in Keene. And I wanted to document this process because I knew things were going to be different given COVID. And so, all right, well, how different are they going to make this? Because we'd heard an early report from one of our other activist friends in the area that he was denied access to go inside and vote, and they made him vote outside because he would not wear a mask.
But you have the right to, well, I guess they didn't deny his right to vote, did they?
Let's talk about it. It's a very interesting thing that happened today, and I've got video footage of the whole thing.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. It's definitely worth discussing. We're going to get into that. It's a crazy world out there, and it's primary day, but you have to wear a mask to go exercise your government-granted right to vote. 855-450-3733, 855-450-FREE, as in Free Talk Live.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
News from news.bitcoin.com. U.S. Postal Service files a patent for new blockchain voting method. Warren Buffett changes his opinion on gold. Maybe Bitcoin is next. $6 billion Akon cryptocurrency city underway. Former Prudential CEO says now's the time to buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies. Getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com. Subscribe to Bitcoin.com's YouTube channel too.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you receive the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at AnyPayInc.com. AnyPayInc.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. Take control of the airwaves and talk about whatever is on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. And with you in the studio tonight, it's Ian and Aria. And as it turns out, there was no such email.
I checked.
Yeah, the total attempt at posing a write-in challenge against me was the
sum of one Facebook post.
A single Facebook post that received exactly one like.
And how many likes, do you happen to know how many likes the Facebook page itself has? I'm just going to guess it's less than 200.
No, it's like 500 and something. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But the last I heard, the Cheshire County Republican Committee didn't have a Facebook page. So presumably the Cheshire County Republican Committee doesn't actually oversee the page. I don't know.
I have no clue.
Either way, I don't.
Question. Their website has looked like it was from 1997 for like the last 2 decades.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're way behind the times.
Is the committee even authorized to endorse one candidate over another? I mean, if they have a write-in candidate, aren't they, or at least the board members on the committee, aren't they required to say nothing about me if they don't support me?
That's an interesting question. I think that each individual has the right to endorse whomever they want in the primary as far as the Republican primary, but I don't know if the board itself
I don't think the board can.
That's
I know
an
when I
excellent
formed
question.
I don't remember the term now, the affiliate group in Tate County of Mississippi for the Libertarian Party, it was specifically within the bylaws that we adopted from the state party and that we had to include that we could not speak out against a libertarian candidate.
Yeah, I know that in the case of the Republicans in New Hampshire, because I was the chairman for about a year. I was the chairman here in Keene. I actually stepped down. I'm now the vice chair in that particular case. But they do require that as a Republican office person or whatever, or somebody with a position in the party, that you cannot endorse someone from another party. So it would be against the rules for me to endorse Darrell W. Perry for governor who's running as a libertarian. I don't know if it would be against the rules to say that I'm going to vote for Darrell W. Perry in the election.
Okay.
But
makes sense.
But anyway, yeah, I don't know if the organization itself can take a position in a primary. That's an excellent question. I would guess that they can't.
That would be my guess, too, and that's probably why they never sent out an email or anything like that encouraging people to vote against me.
Unknown Facebook page that happens to bear their name.
That as far as I know, isn't actually related to them, but hey, that could have changed. Well, let's go to the phones. We've got Gulf Coast Time calling from Florida. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hello?
Oh, hi, this is Tom.
Hi, Tom.
Oh, hi, Tom.
I wanted to make a bold prediction about the upcoming presidential election.
All right. Get bold.
I predict that Trump will lose the election.
Really?
And that Joe Biden will ascend to the presidency during the month of November 2020.
Now, why do you think Trump is going to lose the election?
Oh, there's so many negatives about him. He's a monster, really. This guy's horrible.
I mean, so is Biden.
Not even close. Not even close.
Should we play the clip for him?
Which clip?
Any of the Biden clips.
Well, I don't think he'll be convinced
that Trump in the bucket compared to Trump.
I don't think he'll be convinced that because
out about Trump and how mentally ill he is. He's a pathological liar.
Well, they're all liars, dude.
Yeah, but he's beyond anybody else.
He's a super duper liar.
What makes you so sure he's more of a liar than every other politician? I mean, they all seem to be about the same.
He lies every day, many times. I mean,
he's a politician. Of course he does.
Yeah, but it's not the same. Trump is he's mentally ill lying. It's pathological more than any other person I've ever seen.
So,
he's in a lot of trouble with different prosecutors around the country.
Is he now?
He's going to go to jail if he loses this election.
You think so?
For what?
Bank fraud, tax fraud, insurance fraud, campaign fraud.
I don't know how to tell you this, but if that does play out on Biden's first day in office, he would pardon Trump.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. They always do.
Well, they asked him if he would. He said he wouldn't pardon him.
Yeah, well, they lie. Politicians lie.
I'm thinking that
he believes Biden.
My prediction is that when Biden wins, he will have set up a deal where if Trump resigns immediately, the various state and federal prosecutors will not indict him on anything he's done up till now.
But if Trump resigns, Biden wouldn't assume office. It would go to Mike Pence.
So you'd rather put a kid toucher in?
Well, Trump's a toucher of all kinds.
Well, there haven't been any allegations about Trump touching children.
Let me just finish my prediction here. How Biden gets into the presidency early.
Okay. Oh, he's going to get in early.
If he agrees to the deal,
that's not the way the Constitution works.
Yeah. Doesn't work that way, bro.
Before he resigns, he has to fire Pence and make Biden his vice president.
I don't think it works that way.
And Biden moves.
I don't think it works that way, bro.
Yeah.
He can't
fire
the
Pence.
vice president.
The vice president was elected just like Trump.
It would be awesome if he could, right? Because, Trump's fired pretty much everybody.
He could convince him to quit if it means that Trump is going to go to jail for many years.
Sure, yeah, he could convince him to quit. I think that's probably true.
We got my prediction on.
But even then, Joe Biden wouldn't get the presidency. It would go to the
Secretary of State, I think.
Yeah, I mean there are rules in place. There was nothing in place in the Constitution that allows Joe Biden to assume office before January of 2021.
Now, look, I'm not saying I'm going to vote for Trump, although I will say if he does pardon Snowden within the next 2 months, I will vote for him because I have committed to do that, which is still a possibility, and we can actually talk about that because it's sort of in the news recently again, the whole Trump-Snowden thing.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious.
Snowden was right all along, as it turns out, to the surprise of no one in this room.
So, I'm sorry, I forget your name, caller.
Tom.
Well, so, the whole thing with like Biden touching children, that doesn't bother you?
I don't know about it. I never heard any of that.
Okay, well, here's what you do. Go to joebiden.info. Go to joebiden.info on your nearest web browser, and you'll see plenty of very interesting videos.
There's a couple of books out by psychiatrists about Trump with all kinds of stuff in there.
Okay, but these are literally videos of Biden being aggressively inappropriate with children.
It's still not a drop in the bucket compared to how horrible Trump is.
Do you have videos of Trump aggressively touching children?
No.
Okay,
so I want you to go to joebiden.info.
Of the United States.
Tom, I want you to go to joebiden.info, and then after that, you can call us another night and tell us if you would let him alone with your granddaughter.
That's your challenge, Tom. Good luck with that. That's joebiden.info. Just his name.info, man.
Yeah, it's a very interesting website.
I don't know how anyone could take a look at it and be like, yep, this is my guy.
Oh, this is totally fine. No, it's pretty weird. I feel really bad for those girls in those videos. I mean, they look like they want to be anywhere but there.
And I will say in Joe Biden's sort of defense, not all of the videos are of him touching children.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them are. An alarming number of them are. Some of them are fully grown women.
Oh, he does? He touches them too? Okay.
Yeah.
So he's not discriminatory then?
No, he's just a creep. 855-450-3733. What do you think? Does Joe Biden, and his fondling, for lack of a better word, of women across all age spectrums make you kind of not want to vote for him? Does it make you want to vote for him? 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to divvyproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from divvyproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. divvyproject.org. DIVI project.org. Free Talk Live is aired on nearly 200 radio stations throughout the week, and we've been doing this for almost 18 years. You can call in any evening from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern to talk about whatever's on your mind. Sure, you can waste your time on Facebook and reach dozens of surly posters, or you can call in with your issue and reach 3 surly hosts. Oh, and nearly 500,000 weekly listeners. The number is 1-855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in freedom.
LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. As our contract with our satellite provider is coming up for another 3-year renewal, I have to consider calling it quits. It's rare that we get feedback or support from our satellite users. We started a fundraiser a few years ago, and though there are a bunch of great contributors to it, as of this recording, it covers 15% of our monthly satellite costs. Please email lrn@lrn.fm and tell me how you use the satellite feed. Better yet, chip in at fund.lrn.fm. The costs aren't the issue. We can afford them, but why continue something not valued by the market? Want to help? You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. Fund.lrn.fm. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Take control of the airwaves. Talk about anything that happens to be on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. Or you can use one of the Discord call-in lines that you can find at discord.freetalklive.com. And if you have a good enough microphone, you can pretty much sound like you're sitting here in the studio with us. That's discord.freetalklive.com. So, Ian, previously we were discussing the fact that you went to vote today. Now, you're running for office. I'm not exactly sure what office you're running for.
You did too, right?
Yes, I went.
You went and voted.
Yes.
Okay.
But my experience was different from yours.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
you put a mask on.
I did.
You're part of the problem.
I put on an NPC mask, okay? I made myself pretty clear about the entire thing.
All right.
I mean, for those who know,
I'm sure
they know.
All those old ladies understand the NPC meme.
Well, the ones who know. And I don't care what the old ladies think, right?
Okay.
I did get pulled aside, though, and this one was like, hey, you came in here 2 years ago, and I'm so sorry. I didn't think to ask, but what are your pronouns? And I just spent like a full 2.5 minutes there explaining to her that, I was not offended. I didn't care. I didn't even notice. It didn't even register.
Wow.
I never answered her question.
She was thinking about it for 2 years.
For 2 years, dude. That poor woman. About something that I didn't even notice.
Wow.
But yeah, so your experience was drastically different from mine because I did put on the mask to go in and I did my civic duty so I could go in and do my civic duty. So I could have some civic duty with a side of civic duty.
You must have been in a hurry or something like that, because it does take longer if you do it the hard way, which is the way we did it.
Well, I went there at like 5 o'clock, and we were going to have Jamaican at 5 at the time. So yeah, I was a little pressed for time.
All right, so I was not going to wear a mask, and nor were my the folks that were accompanying me. So nobody. Our co-host was with me, and my roommate was there as well, Matt, who's also on the ballot. We're both running for the state rep seat, the citywide state rep seat here in Keene, which is 2 seats, and there's 4 Republican candidates running. So 2 of us are going to be eliminated. I suspect I'm going to be one of the 2 that will be eliminated, but we'll see. So none of us were going to wear a mask, and I had heard earlier that one of the other libertarian guys in the area had been told he had to wear a mask or else he had to vote outside, and so he voted outside. And so I thought, all right, well, I want to record this whole process. I want to get evidence. I want to see how they're going to treat us. I want to see, you know, what changes are different this year as compared to normal voting. And so one of the first things that was obviously different was they had like chalked they'd chalked 6 foot like squares on the pavement outside of the voting area, and then I guess that was for what they were expecting to be lines of people. It's a primary. No one ever lines up for a primary. There's almost no one that votes at a primary. But anyway, they had like sort of grids where they were going to line people up outside if there were enough people to line up. So they had that. And so, you know, the 6 foot away thing. And as we're approaching, you know, they ask, do we want a mask? And you can get a mask if you want to, you know, if you don't have one, you want to go inside and vote that way. And of course, I'm not interested in doing that. So then they said, well, you can vote outside. So they have a special little tent set up for what had been at that point 6 other people, and it was around 4 in the afternoon, just after 4 when we went to go and vote. So it'd been all day, and only 6 people had refused to put a mask on in order to go inside and vote. And so we were the 7th, 8th, and 9th people. So not even a full 10 people had refused to wear the mask. And so, and we all kind of had slightly differing experiences. So, for instance, one of the things they try to do here in New Hampshire is they try to get you to show ID to vote. Mm-hmm. And you technically don't have to here, which is unusual. In some states, you absolutely do have to show ID or you won't be allowed to vote. But in New Hampshire, it's always been that way.
You can just sign an affidavit affirming your identity, correct?
You are allowed to sign an affidavit. Now, it is under, you know, you're swearing under oath, so you're on the penalty of perjury that you are who you say you are. And as long as you are, then there's not a problem, right? But most people don't know about this. And a few years ago, they changed the rules to try to make it even more confusing. And the way the election officials, the way they explain it to people is purposefully designed to encourage them to just go along to get along.
Well, the government's good at this, right? It's the same as the, quote, statewide mask requirement we have here in New Hampshire.
Doesn't exist.
Which isn't a requirement. Yeah. It's a suggestion.
Right.
Just like this. You're not required to show your ID. It's just a suggestion.
Yeah. So and I got all this on video. And at some point, maybe I'll put it online because it is, I think it's kind of, I mean, it's boring, but it's also interesting, right? Because it's boring just to watch somebody try to go vote. But interesting because we do things that are different than the usual voters. So
you think.
None of us were willing to show ID. And the woman who appears to be the head of that particular election ward, that particular bureau or whatever, that woman was trying to tell us that, oh, well, there was a law that was changed 5 years ago and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, look, lady, I haven't shown ID to vote in the last several years. There's only one time I ever did it, and that was when I was in a super rush. I had somewhere I had to be, and so I regrettably showed ID to vote in that one time. But every other time, I've never shown ID here in New Hampshire. So I'm like, yeah, every time I voted, even in the last 5 years, I haven't shown ID. And so she finally relented. So she was trying to pretend like you couldn't do this. And I just basically said, well, I know you can. And so she finally relented, and she went and she got the affidavits that you were referring to. And then a woman comes out with her and she says, oh, I know him. That's Ian Freeman. So I didn't have to fill out the affidavit because the woman knew who I was.
I didn't have to fill one out either.
Yeah, they knew who you were.
Yeah.
But they did not know nobody, and they didn't know my roommate either. So they both had to do the affidavits. So the woman gets out a camera and she asks.
And they're doing all of this outside because
outside.
They're not letting you inside the building.
That's correct. There's a little tent, kitty tent.
In the middle of a 85-degree hot afternoon in New Hampshire. It was 85 degrees today.
I would rather it be 85 degrees than 30 degrees, which is probably more going to be what it's like in 2 more months in November.
Sure.
Then it's going to be quite uncomfortable to be outside in this area where second-class citizens are allowed to supposedly vote. So she then brings this camera out because when they did change the law a few years ago, they did add sort of an extra process into if you refuse to show ID, what happens? That's what they changed.
Okay.
And so they added a step where they take your picture and then you sign an affidavit. And the idea there is in case somebody is coming in there saying, I'm Aria DiMezzo. And then they want to take, the photo of that person. So in case the case gets investigated, they have some evidence of who was claiming to be Aria DiMezzo, right? So that's kind of the idea behind this. And I personally never objected to having my photo taken. I don't care, right? Whatever. You guys know who I am.
Well, I just always sort of assumed that when I go into a polling place, I'm on camera anyway.
Yeah, you would think. But this is like a little Polaroid, right? So it literally is a Polaroid camera. That's what they have. And so they ask if they can take, I think they asked if they could take their photos. Nobody agreed to it. My roommate did not.
I would imagine they said, we need to take your photo.
I'll have to review the footage on that one. I don't remember for sure. But my roommate refused to allow his photo to be taken. And so she went ahead and she dealt with nobody and took his photo, and he signed the affidavit. And with him, they brought out a religious objection form and put that in front of him and said, does this apply to you? And he says, no, it does not.
They brought this to
my roommate, who would refuse the photograph.
Right.
And they had a religious objection to being photographed form that they put in front of him and said, does this apply to you? He looked it over and said, no, that's not my objection. And so he wasn't willing to sign a religious objection form because that wasn't his reason.
Sure.
So then she's like, well, okay, well, I guess. And she's like reviewing the rules, right? Like she's got the voting rules right out in front of her because she hasn't gone through this yet at all. Right, this is the first time somebody's ever likely. I didn't know you even could. Right, like so. This is totally new ground for me too. I'm like, wow, okay, it's interesting.
Huh?
And so he refuses.
Just tell the bureaucrat no.
And so she says, well, okay, we'll just have you sign this form anyway, and then we'll change the title from religious objection to it's just your personal objection. And he says, okay, fine. So they don't take his photo. He signs the affidavit, and then they let him vote. Now, here's the other thing. Normally when you vote at these voting locations, you put the thing into a machine on your way out the door. Well, we weren't going to be allowed to do that, so we had to trust that they were going to take our ballots and put them into the machine themselves. So we have no idea what happened to those ballots.
Oh, God, yeah. That's terrifying. 855-450-FREE, as in Free Talk Live.
Are you afraid to go to the mailbox because of letter after letter from the IRS? Are they stacking on more and more penalties and interest? By now, you know the problem won't go away on its own. Don't let the IRS chase you to your grave with penalties and interest and liens and levies. You need real help now. I'm Dan Pilla. I wrote the book on tax debt settlement, and I help thousands of people solve tax problems they thought couldn't be solved. I can help you too. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, danpilla.com. That's danpilla.com. danpilla.com.
Are you ready for what's next? It's likely coming. More food shortages, power outages, grocery stores closed, social unrest. Ask yourself, do you have enough food and supplies on hand to last at least 30 days? Most Americans do not, but you can. Avoid the panic of the last-minute rush. Order your 4-week supply of emergency food today from mypatriotsupply.com. Starvation or dependency on the government are your only alternatives. Avoid those and the pain of being unprepared. Go to mypatriotsupply.com right now. Build your emergency food supply with meals that last up to 25 years in storage, shipped discreetly to your door. Folks that know what's coming are using today to prepare. There's time for you to do the same. That's mypatriotsupply.com, the original Patriot Preparedness Company. mypatriotsupply.com.
With a MechTech carbine conversion unit, you can turn an XD family Glock or 1911 handgun into a carbine rifle in seconds and have it shipped right to your door, no FFL required. Now, MechTech is excited to announce our pistol carbine conversion unit. More compact with a 12-inch barrel and an arm brace, proving once again that MechTech is the world's most versatile handgun accessory. For a limited time, go to handgunconversions.com. That's handgunconversions.com and use coupon code RADIO to receive $35 off any carbine purchase.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about anything that is on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. And with you in the studio tonight, it's Ian and Aria. And ForkFest 2021 is happening. Thankfully, ForkFest 2020 was one of the few events that people could actually go to this year.
Sadly, but thankfully, yes.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully there was an event, right?
Yeah.
I'm hoping that we won't still be in such a position to make that statement come 2021, but who knows?
I am not optimistic. I wish I could be. Generally, I'm an optimist, but in the immediate future, it looks pretty grim.
So at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire, that's where we're going to be assembling. It's the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means there's no ticket costs, there's no one in charge. All you have to do is reserve your camping site, your RV site, or your motel room with Rogers Campground for June the 28th until July the 4th, or whatever block of time during, if you don't want to stay the whole thing, sure. But it starts June the 28th through July the 4th. You can find out more about it at forkfest.party, including finding links to the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Mark your calendar for June the 28th through July the 4th. We'll see you there. Forkfest.party.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
The fifth one.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
ForkFest for the flippening was awesome. I
don't know if it actually. I don't think there was a flippening in that.
Well, there was a flippening in that we flipped from the beginning of Porcupine
That's true.
Freedom
We did flip
Festival
the
to
times.
after.
Yeah, we did flip the dates. That's true.
So
And I think it was a good choice.
I think so. So the flippening did occur.
The fireworks were great. That was a really awesome addition this year.
Yeah. So Trump is taking on the military-industrial complex. Is that right?
Yeah, he is. But there's a little bit more I thought that you might want to hear about the voting experience, that the mask-free voting experience that me and our co-host Nobody and my roommate went through today, that apparently only a handful of other people had bothered to go through. By the time we got there, they had around 1,000 votes, which is actually on the high side for a primary. That's including the absentee ballots and the votes of the day. So I think it was like 600, 400, one way or the other. I forget which. But so, again, higher turnout than your typical primary, which is unusual. That may be because there was a pretty, intense fight on the gubernatorial side for Democrats. So there may have been a large number of Dems who turned out. That's just my speculation on that.
Well, there seems to have been for the Republicans as well.
I don't know. I mean, they basically ignored the Republican gubernatorial candidates. Nobody got only one news article from a New Hampshire newspaper in the North Country, and I don't think Karen Testerman got much more than that. She got a little bit more maybe, but not much more. So the mainstream media basically pretended like Sununu has this in the bag and didn't bother to interview or speak to his opponents. So I don't know.
That's frustrating.
But anyway, the other thing that I thought was worth pointing out was that we also got to do something unusual in that, for listeners just tuning in, we had to vote outdoors. We were not allowed to go inside because we were not willing to wear masks to go in and participate in this process that's supposed to be a right. So they couldn't deny us the ability to vote. So they put us out where the second-class citizens go, out by the dumpster.
But I don't know. In legal land, did they deny? They didn't deny you the opportunity to fill out a ballot.
They did not deny that.
But
Correct.
I think they did deny you the opportunity to actually cast that vote by putting it into the machine.
Yes, they did. They definitely denied that. And I am going to show that to an attorney and see what the attorney says about that because
they let you fill out papers, but they didn't let you vote.
They said they were going to put them in the voting machine, but we could not observe them put them in the voting machine.
And they're just going to do it at some point today.
They said they were going to do it when the polls closed. They would insert them into the voting machine on our behalf, which sounded really suspicious to me, and I don't know if I believe what they, I imagine these people tried to be honest, and they're not. There are a bunch of eyes on them, right? Like they're not doing it alone, so it'll probably happen the way they said it would, but we don't really know.
Yeah, and there's no evidence that it will have happened.
Right. I mean, I guess we did some write-in votes, so if we looked at the number of write-ins, maybe we'd be able to determine whether they were ours or not, but we can't really know that anyway, so we can't know how many other people did the same write-in votes that we did, so it would be impossible to really know whether or not they cast our votes. But that's what they said was, well, you're just going to have to let us do it for you because we were not going to let you in there, essentially, is what happened.
Could they not have put a second machine outside?
They don't have a second machine. I mean,
Well, that's their fault, not yours.
Yeah. So,
terrifying, man.
That other machine would have only had 10 ballots in it anyway. I mean, if they wanted to just throw all of them out, they could. I mean, if they want to throw ballots away, they can.
Sure.
So who knows? You never know how honest or dishonest these voting systems are. But one of the other interesting things was we were allowed to essentially vote together. All they had was like a little black table out there with a couple of chairs around it. And so me and
no
nobody.
Stupid privacy curtain?
No privacy curtain. Just sitting right across the table from another person. Now, I'm sure that if we weren't together, they would have allowed us to vote, one at a time, right? So like if...
Oh, good. So they would have also have wasted your time.
Oh, of course. Well, I mean, you pretty much have to expect your time's going to be wasted when you go and vote. I mean, if you don't have to wait in a line, you're lucky, right? Like generally you don't have to wait on a line around here, especially on a primary day, just because there aren't that many people voting.
But you're still wasting your time by going and actually exercising the act of futility.
Oh, yeah, for the most part. I mean, unless the vote...
It's wasting time while you're wasting time.
Yeah, unless the candidate wins by like one vote, then it's pretty much a waste of time. But, for what it's worth, it is good to be able to go out and vote for people that you actually know, which, as you pointed out, we can do here in New Hampshire because we actually have libertarians running. In this case, we were running as Republicans just because it's too hard to get on the ballot as a libertarian. It just requires way much more effort than any of us were willing to put in to do this because, again, it's just not that important. But it was interesting to be able to vote in a group. So we were all like sitting around talking to each other about who to vote for, who are we writing in? And so normally
who's this a-hole? Should we vote for him?
Yeah, that actually happened. And so that was kind of different, right? Because normally when you go in to vote, it's everybody's quiet. You've got to go in and you've got to vote.
Oh, it's super somber, super.
Yeah.
I mean, you're observing the highest ritual the state has.
Very self-important. Yeah, all of that. So
that's why you get your little "I voted" sticker, right?
We did not get those. They did not even offer them to us.
Because you have no record that you actually voted, I guess.
Well, there is a record supposedly that we were there because we checked in, right? They have our names and that sort of thing. But I just thought it was interesting that we had to what essentially was like a team vote going on. Like we were all just voting together at the same time. We could consult with one another and chat, and we were just having a good old time doing this together. So it was very unusual, very different, and it's not going to be very comfortable come November when it's cold out, and then they're going to keep us out there for 20 minutes or however the hell long it took.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, especially if there's snow on the ground or something miserable like that.
Welcome to second-class citizenship.
I want to know what would have happened if one of you had asked to use the bathroom or attempt to get a drink out of the water fountain or something. Look, dude, it's hot out here.
Yeah,
I'm thirsty. I just need to go in there and use the water fountain. Would they really have said?
They would probably deny it. That's a great question.
Yeah, that would be...
That's a good one. So that was my experience today.
So we'll get the results one day, but until then...
I wouldn't expect them tonight, but we might. Maybe
we'll get a lot of the results tonight, but I probably won't get mine until tomorrow, which sucks because I'm probably the most anxious about actually seeing mine.
I know. Oh, well.
Yeah. So in the meantime, Trump is taking on the military-industrial complex. Well, in the meantime, let's go to the phones instead of jumping into that.
Yeah, he said something really interesting recently. I'm pretty shocked by it.
Well, we've got Bonnie calling from Texas. Bonnie, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, Aria.
Hey, what's on your mind?
So I'm calling because I thought of something I think is a really good idea, like a resistance tool against like mandatory vaccination if they make the COVID vaccination mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
Like just like a social thing. If any of my friends ask me about it, like all of my friends are pretty much liberal. I'm going to just say, like, I'm just scared to take the Trump vaccine, and I'm going to only call it the Trump vaccine.
That's a good idea.
The media would be doing. Like, if a Democrat was president right now, the media would be like, this is Obama's, like, passion project vaccine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good idea because it'll give the leftists something to think about. That might actually kind of shake them up a little bit. Like, really? You're going to put this thing that Trump is backing into your body? You will be
That's
part
exactly
of Trump.
And he is, like, backing it now, so, like, it's not a lie.
Yep, that sounds right.
Bonnie, thank you so much for the call, and thank you so much for the excellent idea.
Yeah, it's a good approach.
I'm definitely going to use that because mask while I'm at work, okay. I can tolerate that, but you want me to inject something into my body?
You're literally going to have Trump running through your veins.
Well, I guess that's better than the ultraviolet light or the bleach or whatever crazy thing. I mean, which he didn't actually say, but it's fun to characterize his statements that way. Versus, as we were telling the previous caller, Biden, who actually does say things that are every bit as crazy as just inject bleach into your skin or whatever. 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE, as in Free Talk Live.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Negotiations stalled. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. There's a new round of coronavirus relief in the Senate. The so-called skinny bill would extend small business loans and extra unemployment benefits. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell claims Republicans have been fighting for months to deliver another round of relief, including, he says, the HEALS Act in July.
It would have led right to bipartisan talks. But Speaker Pelosi and the Democratic leader said no.
Senate Democratic Leader Chuck Schumer says Republicans call it a skinny bill, but it would be more appropriate to call it emaciated.
Shockingly, as the pain from this pandemic gets bigger and bigger, Republicans think smaller and smaller. They're moving backwards. Their proposal is completely inadequate and by every measure fails to meet the needs of the American people.
A vote on the measure is expected later this week. The police chief and other top brass in Rochester, New York, retiring after criticism of their handling of the investigation into the death of Daniel Prude, a black man who had been taken into custody in March.
We will have to find an interim chief, and whoever that interim chief would be would step up to actually lead the department during this time. I do know that it's going to be difficult to do that.
Mayor Lovely Warren. Last week, Prude's family released body cam images of his arrest, which showed a hood placed on his head to keep him from spitting, and Prude being held down by an officer for 2 minutes. He died several days later. The U.S. Forest Service says more than a dozen firefighters and bulldozer operators trying to protect a mountain fire station in the Los Padres National Forest have been hurt. They were flown to a hospital in Fresno. One is in critical condition. President Trump extending the offshore drilling plan off the Atlantic coast of Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. America is listening to Fox News.
For over 20 years, millions of customers have trusted Blinds.com to update their homes. Because Blinds.com makes it easy to get custom blinds that'll give your windows a high-end look without the high-end price. Whether you like to DIY, need design help, or prefer measure and install services, they do it all with easy online ordering and free shipping right to your door. If you're unsure, know that Blinds.com has over 30,000 5-star customer reviews, and they guarantee the perfect fit for your windows, whether you do it yourself or have them measure and install everything for you.
Right now, shop Blinds.com's Labor Day savings event right from home with easy online ordering and free shipping right to your door. You'll save up to 40% on everything through September 8th. Interior blinds, shades, shutters, even outdoor shades. Plus, pay over 24 months at 0% APR on qualifying purchases with PayPal Credit Easy payments through 9/17/2020.
As of March 1st, 2020, new PayPal credit accounts have a variable purchase APR of 25.49% that will vary with the market based on the prime rate. Minimum interest charge is $2, subject to credit approval. Visit Blinds.com/PayPal. Other rules and restrictions may apply.
After a weeks-long operation, federal agents in Indiana have located several missing children.
The U.S. Marshals Service rescued 8 minors 6 to 17 years of age that are believed to have been trafficked. This in a first citywide search effort called Operation Homecoming. An operation followed by months of planning that we're told led to at least one arrest. The U.S. Marshals tell Fox News they plan to widen out the search statewide in the coming months. Federal sweeps in recent weeks also located dozens of critically missing kids in Ohio and Georgia. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
TikTok removing a clip of an apparent suicide that's been circulating on the app and is barring accounts that were repeatedly trying to upload the clip. The Chinese owner of TikTok, ByteDance, based in China, has been criticized for its content moderation policy in the past, particularly when it comes to graphic content. A Virginia college standing by its decision to offer a lesson on how to overthrow the state.
According to Washington and
we have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Delighted health insurance executives gather in an outdoor coliseum to watch a patient battle cancer. And a self-conscious flasher is fully clothed under his trench coat. This is the Onion Week in Review. While stressing that they would absolutely never consider doing anything of the sort, German leaders quietly admitted this week that they were pretty sure they could carry out another Holocaust if they ever truly wanted to. Quickly noting that the Holocaust was an atrocity that should never be repeated, no matter how easy it would be to do so, almost all members of the German parliament discreetly conceded that with their country's dominance of Eurozone GDP, pulling off the unthinkable genocide would not be the least bit difficult.
I'm just saying, hypothetically, that we very easily could do it.
I mean, we definitely have the infrastructure, and the concentration camps are still standing.
In other news, a so-called Christian has an erection. A new study finds more children are growing up in single-parent households. And a real-life Nancy Drew traces the source of her HPV.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can talk about anything that's on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. With you in the studio tonight, it's Aria.
And Ian.
And you mentioned earlier that there was Edward Snowden news, and obviously the things coming out now is that, hey, you know, this stuff that Snowden told us about, it actually is against the law. So the
spying, the NSA spying.
Yeah. Yep. But there are other people in the news being targeted by the Trump administration, or the powers that be, rather. Julian Assange is one of those. We have an update about him, you said.
Yes. You want to hear that?
Absolutely.
This is from thedailybeast.com out of London, where, as you may be aware, Julian Assange is currently facing extradition hearings. So he's in custody, has been in custody since they grabbed him out of the Ecuadorian embassy, where he had been staying for something like 6 or 7 years, since I think 2012. They snapped him up back in 2019, if I recall correctly, and they've had him in custody ever since. So in a few weeks or months, Judge Vanessa Baritzer will rule on whether Julian Assange can be taken to the United States to face a string of serious espionage charges. So it's probably a good idea for him to stay in her good graces, says the Daily Beast. But Tuesday, the second day of the WikiLeaks founder's extradition hearing in London, which was delayed for months by the coronavirus pandemic, Baritzer delivered a forceful warning to Assange that he will be removed from court for good if he can't keep his thoughts to himself while witnesses are delivering their evidence. Assange had reportedly shouted out nonsense during the hearing.
He shouted out the word nonsense? Okay.
Yeah, nonsense.
I thought he was being, accused of babbling or something.
Gobbledygook. Yeah. No, he said nonsense aloud during the hearing when the lawyer representing the United States told a witness that the WikiLeaks founder was facing extradition not for handling leaked documents, but for releasing the names and endangering U.S. informants. Clearly displeased by the outburst, Baritzer told Assange, who is in the dock, that he must not speak out, even when he inevitably disagrees with the position of the prosecution team. Quote, "If you interrupt proceedings and disrupt a witness who is properly giving their evidence, it is open to me to continue without you in your absence. This is obviously not something I wish to do. I am therefore giving you a clear warning." The judge added, quote, "I understand you'll hear things you disagree with, and you'd like to contradict and speak about these things yourself, but this is not your opportunity to do so." The warning came after the founder of the legal charity Reprieve told the court that grave violations of law, including the use of U.S. drones for targeted strikes in Pakistan, as well as alleged U.S. war crimes in Afghanistan and at Guantanamo Bay, had been exposed in the documents published by WikiLeaks. James Lewis, who is representing the United States, hit back that the case was not about the usefulness of the documents, and the U.S. charges revolve around the publication of the names of the informants in Iraq and Afghanistan that had put their lives in danger. It was Lewis's rebuttal that provoked Assange's outburst. It was just the second day of a 4-week hearing.
Now,
4 weeks.
Are they doing this in an actual courtroom, or is it a pandemic hearing?
It sounds like it's in an actual courtroom.
Okay, well, because otherwise I could have just muted his microphone, right?
Yeah, so apparently it's being taken at the Old Bailey, where the WikiLeaks founder is fighting extradition to the U.S. to face an 18-count indictment on espionage charges. Assange, of course, as you may know, embarrassed the U.S. government a decade ago by publishing thousands of confidential American documents. Assange's supporters see him as a journalist and a champion of free speech, an argument which has been adopted by his attorneys in the early days of the hearing. He is facing a maximum of 175 years in prison. Now,
he's obviously a journalist.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else he could be if not a journalist.
Well, they're trying to paint him as some sort of dastardly spy for giving away information that was confidential or whatever. But yeah, I mean, he's doing the job
He
of a
didn't
journalist.
sign an agreement to keep it confidential.
No, he did not. No, he didn't.
I mean, he's a journalist, and he did what a journalist would do, which is report the information that he was given.
I don't think any of those points will save him from being convicted
either,
in the United States. So the best thing that can happen to him is if the United Kingdom refuses to extradite. Now, supposedly, and I have not researched this myself, but somebody had reported previously that the UK has some sort of rule against extraditing somebody to a place where they will face certain death for the punishment of the thing that they've done, and 175 years is certain death. So I don't know if that's going to be a point that they can make to try to stop him from being extradited just on that rule alone. But apparently they're expecting this hearing to last for 4 weeks.
I would be surprised if it doesn't last longer.
The determination on whether or not to extradite him from the United States is a 4-week-long hearing. So anyway, he's been yelled at by the judge on day number 2.
Well, let's go to the phones. We've got Adrian calling from South Carolina. Adrian, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, how you doing, Ariel?
Hey, what's on your mind?
I just wanted to call in because I'd actually previously, a couple months ago, had a run-in with Mark Edge on Facebook where we had words.
Sure.
And those things happen on Facebook.
Yes, they do. And I'm actually the founder of the Voluntarist Ministry on Facebook, something I did over 5 years ago. And we're actually all ordained ministers. There are now 7 of us.
Okay.
And I created a group for like a stepping stone for people moving into the liberty movement.
Okay. It seems like voluntarism would be the goal at the end of the liberty movement.
Yes. That's right. That's right. Voluntarism is the golden rule in action. That is exactly what we're after. And
so what was your run-in with Mark about?
I don't even remember. It was something very trivial, actually.
It usually is.
So it wasn't really worth mentioning then.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying I met Mark and I found out about Free Talk Live through him.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I didn't know who he was, but we were friends on Facebook. And so and now I'm friends with Nobody, and Nobody and I have been talking today, and that was pretty interesting. So I just wanted to call in and say hello, and kind of make a first call to say hello to you guys. I appreciate what you do. I've been listening for the last 2 months on Spotify.
So tell us a little more about this ministry group.
So we're secular. We have nothing to do with religion whatsoever. The ministry is to preach non-aggression principle, peaceful parenting, and self-ownership. And that's what we do.
Okay, cool. Very cool.
Where are you based out of?
I'm out of the Charleston, South Carolina area.
Oh, okay.
Specifically Somerville. And
sounds like you should be in New Hampshire.
I'm thinking about it, but I hate snow.
Yeah.
Does it not snow in South Carolina? I don't know the climate there.
In the Charleston area today, it was 87 degrees. So
it's 85 degrees here today.
Yeah, it's amazing that it got so cool down here. But no, we get snow about once every 7 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a pretty big ice storm about 2.5 years ago. But
Gotcha.
Usually in December we're running around in shorts and t-shirts. So it's
as
really
someone
nice
who moved here from Mississippi, I will say that the snow is not as bad as you would expect it to be. The cold is pretty bad.
The cold sucks.
But the snow itself is nowhere near as big an issue as you would expect.
But it's nice to be around more voluntarists than you can shake a stick at.
Yes, that would be really nice. I've just met somebody today from Freedom Cells who lives in the area, and we're going to meet up on Friday afternoon, down here in Charleston. And I think it's good to grow your network and find out that there are more people who believe like you do.
How many voluntarists did you vote for on the last ballot on which you voted?
There were no voluntarists.
I voted for 5 of them today.
Really?
Yeah.
As did I.
I don't know of any voluntarists, except the only voluntarist I know that ever ran for office was Ron Paul.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd call him a voluntarist.
Ron Paul's a
That's what really
voluntarist. I mean,
soured me.
there's no doubt about it. I think he would even call himself that. I think we've asked him about that before. Hey,
He
good luck
did.
with your
He
ministry,
did
man.
call.
I appreciate it.
Adrian, thank you so much for the call. Yeah, good luck with the ministry, but you would be way more successful with that here in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Like Ian said, we voted for like 5 voluntarists today, and you're just not going to get that anywhere else.
And that's just here in Keene.
Yeah, just here in Keene. There were others that we know about that we weren't eligible to vote for because they're in different counties. 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
News from news.bitcoin.com. U.S. Postal Service files a patent for new blockchain voting method. Warren Buffett changes his opinion on gold. Maybe Bitcoin is next. $6 billion Acon cryptocurrency city underway. Former Prudential CEO says now's the time to buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies. Getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com. Subscribe to Bitcoin.com's YouTube channel too. Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to divvyproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from divvyproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. divvyproject.org. DIVI project.org.
July 25th, we adopted April. She's a purebred, orange and white Brittany. But when she started scratching like crazy, I said to John, it's got to be her food. You know, what you put into a dog is what you get out. We heard this radio commercial, and this woman was so excited about Dinovite, DINOVITE.com. I said to John, I'm getting this. So the Dinovite comes, and I thought, a light bulb moment. She loves her dog food. She always leaves a little bit in her bowl. So we added a huge scoop of Dinovite in it, and then we swished it around like gravy. She dove into that bowl. She licked it clean. She loved it. So that's been the routine. April gets Dinovite for dessert. Her coat is now soft. It's silky. Dinovite is nutrition. She even walks like a little princess.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
On Dinovite, she's Little Miss Hollywood. DINOVITE.com.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. Talk about whatever is on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733, or use the Discord call-in lines, which you can find at discord.freetalklive.com. With you in the studio is Ian and Arya, and I want to tell you about Bitcoin.com. They have a trading platform now. It's more than a year old at local.bitcoin.com. There you can buy or sell Bitcoin Cash using dozens of payment methods like bank deposit, PayPal, Venmo, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted, which means you finally have a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash, and maybe you just want to learn more about Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin.com can also help you with that. Check it out. It's an awesome website, and if you're already fully aware of what Bitcoin is, then check out news.bitcoin.com. Now, in other stories, there seems to be a lot happening. There's Julian Assange getting yelled at by a judge. There's the Edward Snowden thing, and I'm sure that's been talked about here on Free Talk Live within the last week or so. Because
Trump was talking about pardoning him.
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Well, he hasn't said he's going to yet, but Trump has said he's considering it. You didn't hear about that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, this was like 2 or 3 weeks ago now.
This is in light of the court ruling that the NSA surveillance.
That court had not ruled about that.
Okay.
Like that court ruling you're referring to just came in very recently.
I
Trump,
assumed
within a couple weeks ago, had made a statement publicly that he was considering he was actually answering a question by a news person, I think, and that was when he revealed that he was considering pardoning Edward Snowden. That he had heard good arguments, he said, on both sides.
Okay. Well, here's a Supreme Court. Well, I don't know what court ruled it, but here's a court argument on
Ninth Court of Appeals, I believe it was,
on Snowden's side, saying that yes, in fact, the NSA was breaking the law.
Yep, that's right.
Which, I mean, the law is pretty broad and it allows them to do pretty much anything they want. So the fact that they were violating it, that's newsworthy in and of itself. I didn't know that Trump had even.
He's teasing about it.
I don't want to vote for Trump.
I don't either, but man,
if he pardons Snowden, man, I'll just have to.
Yeah, I said I would. I said if Trump pardons Snowden or Ross Ulbricht and probably Assange, one of them, I would be happy to vote for him in that case, because that's a pretty big deal to do. Any one of those three guys.
Yeah.
And so here's the other news that was really interesting.
Is this what set the military-industrial complex after him? Was his being open to the possibility of pardoning Snowden?
No, I wouldn't say they're after him per se, but they're definitely mad now. Now that he said what he said over the weekend. He was at a press conference on Labor Day where he said that he has the support of the troops, but not their bosses. Quote, "I'm not saying the military is in love with me. The soldiers are. The top people in the Pentagon probably aren't."
Well, it's because he has yet to start a war.
He said further, quote, "Because they want to do nothing but fight wars so that all those wonderful companies that make the bombs and make the planes and make everything else stay happy, but we're getting out of the endless wars." Unquote.
This is Donald Trump.
Donald Trump on Labor Day weekend at a press conference said trying
to appeal to libertarians.
He's appealing to anybody who's anti-war in this particular case.
Who are primarily libertarians, but I guess there are probably
liberals.
Sure.
There's some anti-war liberals out there.
But Trump, talk is cheap at this point.
Talk is cheap.
You've been president for 4 years now.
Well,
I don't see it likely that you're going to actually end any of these wars.
I don't think so either, but I'll give him credit where credit's due. He has been less worry than his previous
He has
presidents.
not started any.
And he's done a little bit of de-escalation. There was this, I think it was Syria. There was a Syrian situation where he said basically to stand down, to not bomb some people. I think that was Syria. There was, of course, his negotiations with Kim Jong-un to bring peace to the Koreas, which no one in American presidency has ever spoken in person like that with somebody from with a North Korean dictator like that. Now, ultimately, nothing's happened. I mean, nothing has come of that. But it was a gesture in a positive direction.
And we have not gone to war with North Korea.
We have not. Yeah, that's right. So I don't know. I mean,
it could be worse.
It could be a lot worse. It could have been Hillary, who seemed to have. She seemed to have an axe to grind.
Yeah, she wanted war with Russia.
That's right.
For sure.
Yeah.
And, Trump seemed to want one with China. I don't know whether or not he's still beating that dead horse, but At least during the 2016 election, he certainly was. So I will agree. He is the least warmongering president that we've had in a while.
Yeah, and then as a result, John Bolton, who was his defense secretary or whatever for some amount of time, this total war hawk guy that Trump ended up firing, Bolton has come out on the attack against Trump for saying these things. Oh, how dare he attack the generals? How dare he go after the military brass?
But these statements are factually true.
Oh,
they do want to
absolutely.
continue paying Lockheed Martin for all of those bombs and fighter jets.
Well, here's the other interesting thing that's tied in with this is I follow Edward Snowden on Twitter, and I saw Snowden had posted yesterday. He had posted a little clip or like an image snip of a Glenn Greenwald's Twitter account that Donald Trump had retweeted something that Glenn Greenwald had written. Now, Glenn Greenwald, for those that don't know, is the guy who broke the Snowden story back in 2013.
Okay.
Greenwald at the time was writing for The Guardian, and he's since moved on to a different website called The Intercept. But Greenwald is, he's a lefty, but he's absolutely right on privacy issues and things like that. So the fact that Donald Trump retweeted Glenn Greenwald just on its own is unusual and worth noting. But what he retweeted is also worth talking about. So this story is coming from RT. And
because Trump has since deleted the tweet, right?
Trump has deleted the retweet. So he can't delete Glenn Greenwald's tweet. But what Glenn Greenwald posted that was retweeted by Trump was this, quote, "Here's a lesser-known part of Eisenhower's farewell address. He had 16 minutes on TV to warn Americans of what he thought they needed to know and used it primarily to emphasize the dangers of Pentagon growth, weapons spending, and the threats of endless war." Remember that speech where...
Yeah, the military-industrial complex, whether salt or unsalt. Yeah.
That
the one
speech.
where, the president who created the military-industrial complex admitted to the existence. Well, he didn't create it, but he enabled it.
So in that speech, that's what Glenn Greenwald posted to his Twitter. That's what Trump retweeted. The same weekend as he is talking trash against the military brass and outing the military-industrial complex publicly in a statement on his Labor Day speech, he retweets Glenn Greenwald with the Eisenhower speech. And then here's the other thing that happened.
2020 is a weird year, man.
Glenn Greenwald then changed his name on Twitter to Pardon Snowden. So that way it looked like Trump was retweeting Pardon Snowden, and I suspect that's why Trump deleted it.
I suspect so.
Because what happened was Snowden took a screenshot of Pardon Snowden being retweeted by Donald Trump.
Nice.
And Snowden said, "Does this mean he's made up his mind?" So...
Well, I hope he makes up his mind.
Me too.
And I hope he makes the decision to pardon Snowden.
Wouldn't it be interesting, though, to see Trump go hard anti-war before the election?
I would love that.
Yeah.
And
he seems to be doing that. To attack the military-industrial complex as the president of the United States?
Well,
he's only saying things, but still.
There is time for him to do things if that's what he wants. And that's what I would love to see. Do something, Trump. You're the president.
Don't get your hopes up.
855-450-FREE as in freedom.
Free Talk Live is aired on nearly 200 radio stations throughout the week, and we've been doing this for almost 18 years. You can call in any evening from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern to talk about whatever's on your mind. Sure, you can waste your time on Facebook and reach dozens of surly posters, or you can call in with your issue and reach 3 surly hosts. Oh, and nearly 500,000 weekly listeners. The number is 1-855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE as in freedom. Did you know you can support freedom of speech just by visiting shop.freetalklive.com? You'll see links to Walmart, Love Java, Newegg, and more. Every day, Free Talk Live is at the forefront of the liberty movement as the biggest liberty-oriented talk show in the world, giving you a platform to be heard on any topic. Get listener-only specials without doing anything other than an extra click. Visit shop.freetalklive.com. Use the links and buy what you'd be buying anyway. Take action now. Save and support freedom. Visit shop.freetalklive.com. It's shop.freetalklive.com.
This is the Onion Week in Review. A study finds that Americans need 6 hours of uninterrupted sleep at work in order to leave the office feeling refreshed and alert. Leading endocrinologists told reporters that more and more people are pulling all-dayers and drinking coffee just to keep themselves awake for meetings and conference calls, and that in order to be properly rested, employees should arrive at work, check their email for a few hours, and be sound asleep by 11:30 a.m. at the very latest.
In order for the body to properly function, adults need to make sure that they're well rested and they're not staying up too late at work.
The Lord our God, divine creator and ruler of the universe, announced Wednesday that he does not consider human beings his most impressive creation, saying instead that mountains are categorically superior in every way. Claiming that mankind was a good creation and worthy of praise, the deity explained that human beings simply pale in comparison to the slopes, valleys, and sheer magnitude of a snow-capped 20,000-foot mountain, and that while all humans eventually grow old and die, mountains last forever.
This is the Onion News Network.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
My name is Angel Rach. I'm a mother of 2 teenage children, and I fought all the way to the Supreme Court for the right to use the medicine that saved my life. I've been permanently disabled for 10 years, with an inoperable brain tumor, wasting syndrome, and several other serious conditions. For 4 years, I was in a wheelchair, in so much pain I couldn't even hug my kids. The hardest part was looking in their eyes and seeing how much they were suffering because of my medical condition. The medicine that gave me my life back and gave my kids their mom back was cannabis, also known as medical marijuana. With medical marijuana, I can walk, maintain my weight, and I can be a mom. Without it, my doctors believe that I would die. To learn more about medical marijuana, contact Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or on the web at mpp.org.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. The only show where you can call in to talk about anything that is on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. And would you like to share the awesome news we just got?
Well, I got eliminated from the election, but I wasn't expecting to win.
It's a silver lining to a rainy cloud, I suppose.
And my roommate is the top vote getter in that particular.
The top vote getter, man.
And he didn't do anything. I mean, he did fill out a few.
I had no idea he was running.
Yeah, he did fill out a few of the questionnaires, but he missed his interview with the Sentinel. So, there was in the summary article about who the candidates were, there was nothing about him. It just said that he didn't return comment, but he was the number one vote getter.
Oh, man, that's
so
amazing.
Anything is possible. It's
so
2020.
We officially have a volunteerist on the way to the election for the state house, right?
Correct. Now, he'll probably lose in the general election because it's almost impossible for Republicans to win here in Keene, New Hampshire, which is a highly lefty Democrat town. But
what if that Republican is a tranny?
Well, again, your race is a completely interesting, very fascinating situation. We don't have any results on it at this time.
But congrats to Matt Roach, the top vote getter, man. That is well done, Matt. So in other news, technosexuals are apparently a thing now. Now, sapiosexuals are something that I've heard about a lot in recent years.
Isn't that the attraction to intelligence?
Yeah, every girl calls herself a sapiosexual, though.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't see it that often on the dating sites.
Really?
No.
I don't use a lot of dating sites to meet women.
Good for you. I haven't met many either.
You don't go to bars.
Right.
I do. But it's all over their social media accounts. I'm a sapiosexual. No, you're not. You're not attracted to that bookworm over there with the
right.
I mean, stop lying to yourself, girl. So anyway, technosexual.
Yeah, this isn't that. This is different, I guess. And I had not heard this term before. Had you?
I have not.
This is coming from Yahoo Life. I guess they're reprinting the Telegraph piece here. If the pandemic wasn't a surreal enough experience, a recent study suggests that lockdown has amplified a disturbing trend. Research by sex toy company WeVibe revealed that 14% of men admit to being aroused by their smart speaker Alexa, which confirms my view that we've been... And you think that...
Does she have a sexy voice? I don't know. If I see an Alexa, I'm leaving the room.
Right, just because you don't want to be recorded.
Not by Amazon.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have one of these things, so I couldn't speak to it. I'm sure I've heard it on like a commercial somewhere, but it doesn't really ring much of a bell for me. And you think, based on this opening paragraph, that this is going to be all about people who are attracted to electronic devices, and that's not at all really where this story goes.
Wasn't there a news story of someone marrying Siri?
I don't have any clue.
Siri is the voice assistant for
Apple.
For Apple.
Yeah.
I think someone
I don't think you can
her.
marry something that can't consent.
Someone in Japan married their Nintendo DS. I mean, that is Japan.
Okay,
so.
yeah, I don't know what that even is supposed to mean. I don't understand how you could marry a thing that cannot agree to being married. But regardless. So, again, 14%.
Oh, no, he married a video game character. And the game was on Nintendo DS.
I see.
Not that makes it any more sane.
Now, is that like an actual legal marriage, or did he just have a ceremony where he had a projection or a piece of artwork of the character or something like that? Did he have like a virtual reality wedding?
I'm trying to find one that's
character?
not behind a paywall.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
well, according to CNN, he's in love with this this video game character.
Now, this guy may qualify as a technosexual based on what we're about to get into.
It was witnessed live. It doesn't say whether or not it was a legal marriage.
I suspect it's not. I mean, I would imagine you can only marry legally someone who can sign the paperwork. But what do I know? I've never looked into this. If you know, you can call us toll-free at 855-450-FREE. Maybe you've been following this case directly. But if somebody marries a video game character, I'm going to guess that qualifies them as this new term of the technosexual, which, according to the author here, Lucy Beresford, she says it confirms her view that we've been sleepwalking into a different kind of epidemic, one of loneliness and fear of intimacy. I've been practicing psychotherapist for 20 years, and I've never never have I worked with so many men and women who are unhappy and scared because their deepest attachments and primary source of arousal are through interacting with their tech. I call these people technosexuals. Technosexuals are joined.
So this isn't like a girl walks into your home and she's like turned on by your smart refrigerator and your smart air conditioner, right?
No, a technosexual would not have a girl walk into their home. I suspect. Technosexuals are joined as though surgically to their favorite gadgets, whether it's the ping of a message, swiping right, or the seductive, authoritative tones of a cloud-based voice service. Their tech fulfills them by mobilizing the reward system in the brain and releasing dopamine, the happiness hormone. Did you ever see that movie? I think it was called Her, and it was about the dude that falls in love with his operating system.
No, but I did see a mention of that on the Guy Marries Siri thing, which also was not a legal marriage.
It was an interesting movie. I would recommend people who are interested in sort of the way people are interacting with technology on into the future might want to check that one out. The instant
So what we need are sex robots who people can use Facebook on.
Well, these people are.
And when I say need, I mean we don't need that, but that's what will ultimately
happen.
That's
likely,
that's how the people will get their dopamine rushes from their relationships.
Sex. How many of these people are actually having any kind of sex? We can get into that, but the instant activity of using their tech, likes and comments, is a sexual turn-on for them. This dopamine hit happens in all of us, but in technosexuals, something else is at play, she says. For them, the modern digital world influences all their libidinous activity. It dictates who they fancy and how they present and value themselves. You could be dating a technosexual without even realizing it.
Okay, I think I understand here. So they become so invested in their online presence that any sort of interaction with that, I don't think I understand, actually.
Let's keep going. So you could be dating a technosexual without even realizing it. They're great at screen chat, yet not so great at the face-to-face authenticity required to begin or sustain a relationship. The tech they carry around has become such a handy dopamine stimulator. It's like having a sex toy in their pocket. Human intercourse no longer cuts it. The reason why some of us can sustain a healthy relationship with tech while others can't comes down to a deep-seated fear of intimacy, the main trait of the technosexual, which, being at home, often alone, has only intensified. Take Jess. She's 36 years old, runs her own recruitment agency. She has a wide circle of friends and appears to enjoy her life. Yet behind the image of a contented, successful woman lies someone totally disconnected from her sexual desires. Before the pandemic, Jess would rarely see the same person twice and hadn't had sex in 3 years. Instead, the activities that arouse her include maintaining
This was before the pandemic?
That's right. Include maintaining her social...
Was she fat?
Doesn't say. But I just don't even understand how arousal could involve maintaining a social media feed, but that's the claim here, that is what arouses her, chatting online and scrolling Instagram for date outfits or locations, activities that have ramped up during the lockdown. In all my years of practicing, technosexuals are perhaps the most troubling cohort of mental health sufferers I've ever seen, because the source of their distress appears on the face of it to be so innocuous. Where most of us just use tech when we need it, and as Zoom fatigue has shown, can get quickly turned off by it. The technosexual is hit by the double whammy of intensified use, which arises from and subsequently is inflamed by an existing fear of closeness to other human beings. Graham...
Okay, so they're already antisocial, right?
Yes. Well...
And the device lets them be social without actually being social.
So it does say that this woman has a wide circle of friends, so it does suggest that she has the ability to at least engage in some level of socializing. But her attraction appears to be to the technical world, the tech world.
Because she would rather live in the illusory, imaginary social media world than out in the real world?
Let's talk more about it. They've got another example coming up. It's a new concept for me, too. So you and I were both trying to figure this out together. And if you want to comment, join us at 855-450. Free, like freedom. This is Free Talk Live.
The battle of late-stage or terminal illness is a fight that affects everything and everyone in your life. If you or a loved one are dealing with advanced stage conditions that are causing financial hardship, like stage 3 or stage 4 cancer, Alzheimer's, COPD, or ALS, then this message is for you. Our Funds for Living program make it a simple 3-step process. Text the word LIVE to 411-411 or visit fifthseasonfinancial.com/radio and we'll send you a link to get started. Choose the amount of money you need, apply in seconds. That's it, and you're under no obligation. Fifth Season will advance a portion of your life insurance policy and take over your premium payments so you can provide immediate financial relief to the ones you love, all without any out-of-pocket expenses. Fifth Season Financial wants to help you live your best life. Text LIVE to 411-411. Text the word LIVE to 411-411.
Attention radio listeners, if you're concerned about the coming chaos after the November elections, this will be an extremely important message. Here's why. No matter what the outcome in November, catastrophic social upheaval is a very real possibility. Here's why this is important. Listen, we all know that silver and gold have been historic hedges against the uncertain waves of social chaos and unstable currencies. But did you know that there's been times in the past, during times of extreme hardship, when Americans put another store of value above even silver and gold? It's true, open pollinated seeds have been and could very well be the ultimate store of value in the coming hard times ahead. Go to survivalseedbank.com to get heirloom seeds below wholesale. Visit survivalseedbank.com this week and get hundreds of dollars in free bonuses. Beat the coming chaos, beat rising food prices, but above all, don't wait. Beat the crowds by claiming your own Survival Seed Bank today.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. Do you have a WordPress website running WooCommerce and want to accept cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Dash, Bitcoin Cash, and Bitcoin SV? Now you can easily enable crypto payments from your customers by adding the AnyPay plugin to your WordPress site. Just visit AnyPayInc.com and set up your account by entering your cryptocurrency wallet addresses in the admin. Then enable the AnyPay plugin in your WooCommerce. That's it. Now your website takes crypto like Bitcoin thanks to AnyPayInc.com. AnyPayInc.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about anything that's on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. With you in the studio, it's Aria and Ian. And, you know, this is something that I enjoy talking about. It's this whole way that people have readjusted their entire lives to where I don't want to say 90% of the time, but a healthy portion of the time, they're not actually living their lives. They're living these digital lives that they've created on social media, like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram.
Right.
And it's no different from the person who sits there playing World of Warcraft all day, every day, living as they become convinced in their minds, or a large portion of their life is spent as that digital character, that non-existent entity with only a digital representation of them. And because of that, they're not out there living in the real world. And it's the same thing that we see on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and all of these other social media sites. It's just a different way of people living vicariously in a digital world that is not real.
Yes, and now it's worse than ever, right?
Because now that's the only world people have.
Now they're not even allowed to leave their house in a lot of cases. Now, in some states, it's more restrictive than others, but it's given those people even greater excuse to fritter away into this digital world and stay there.
I would reiterate that it's time to put the silicon obsession down. But nobody's ready to do that.
Well,
I'm as bad as any. I use my phone.
I was going to say, you were just on your phone 2 minutes ago.
Sure.
But, I mean, in your case, you are being productive with the phone in some cases.
Generally.
Right? You sell Bitcoin and you need your phone as a tool for work. So of course the difficulty becomes having a tool that is useful for production or productivity, and avoiding using that tool for time wasters. Not that it's bad to have leisure time. I mean, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So it is important to put some time aside to do other things.
This is why new writers always fail, though, because they don't.
New writers?
New writers.
Writer as in an author.
Author, yeah. They use the very same computer for writing their novel that they use for Facebooking and YouTube and all of that.
So they can get distracted.
Yeah. Unplug the internet cable from your laptop, from your writing computer, however it is that you're going to do
focus
it. Yeah, if you want to actually accomplish something, turn off the television, unplug the internet.
Yeah.
That's my
good
advice to people.
Well, these folks apparently are not just obsessed with technology, but according to this psychiatrist, turned on by it. Was she a psychiatrist? Let me just double check that here.
And that's weird.
Psychotherapist. So different from a psychiatrist. This psychotherapist is claiming that they are aroused to some extent by the things that most of us just sort of do as part of living in this technical world. These people are like way more into it than even somebody like you and I, which are using technology. We're constantly using technology throughout our daily lives.
Yeah,
but I'm not.
It's a handy tool for doing a lot of things.
But I'm not doing it for the purpose of I don't care about the likes. That doesn't do anything for me. I remember when Mark was getting into an argument with somebody online, he was really mad because this other person had gotten 50 likes on something that they had said. I'm like, dude, who cares? What does it matter to you whether they got likes or not? Oh, some people like them better than you? So what? Anyway, she gives more examples here. Okay, so she says Graham, and she's changing the names to protect the innocent, is 42. He's an accountant and has been married for 2 years. His interest in porn has become an obsession. Every night he gets lost in online webcam activity on his office laptop, unaware of who may be tracking him and opening himself up to blackmail. Working from home and with no commute, he now has even more time to get sucked into virtual, quote, relationships, unquote, at the expense of the real one with his wife. And we've seen plenty of times where somebody in an actual relationship who has a problem playing video games too much, for instance, will lose the relationship, will lose their job, will lose their wife, lose their girlfriend, because they just can't put it down. They can't get away from this addiction. And that's been going on for a long time. Recent research by the University of Pennsylvania has shown that people who curbed their social media exposure felt less depressed and lonely than those who had no limits.
Yeah, if I get a bout of depression or something like that, which doesn't even happen that often anymore, the very first thing I do is deactivate all of my social media.
Really?
Yeah, because it's exacerbating the problem. Right?
Why?
Because when you're depressed, you just sort of feel lonely and anxious and isolated and all of that anyway.
I know some people.
And what people don't realize is that social media is, in a large way, creating those feelings. Because if I want to interact with someone during one of these periods, I have to actually interact with them in person, which takes my mind off the depression.
I see.
But
so
if you're sitting there
off okay.
But if you're just sitting there messaging with someone on Facebook or whatever, you're keenly aware of the fact that you're
all alone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The study highlights the vital importance of weaning technosexuals off their tech adoration. They say things like, quote, I've had this many likes, hits, DMs. I am worth this much.
Hold on. They actually say this?
Well, she's paraphrasing, but
I mean, yeah, but I mean, she's actually got people coming into her office and bragging about getting
They believe
likes.
that the likes is their worth in life. Yeah. That's sort of a millennial zennial thing where young people are obsessed with getting likes. It's a very important thing for them. It's.
I mean, sure. This is why they snort condoms and
there you
drink
go.
bleach or whatever it is they're doing.
They want to have their moment
now.
in the sun. They want to have go viral.
Or overdose on Benadryl or whatever stupid thing it is that they're going to do next.
While many of us enjoy this external validation, in technosexuals, it triggers their emotional downfall. Kamal is 22 and studying economics at what he described before lockdown as a, quote, very social college, unquote. Yet his fear of sex and intimacy runs deep. Kamal has never had a girlfriend, not least because girls in real life do not measure up to the ones he sees online. Sex education in schools is failing to prepare our children for having healthy sex lives, focusing primarily on...
No. Sex education in school isn't failing to do it. The parents are failing to do it, and the school is not picking up the slack.
Sure. Well, yeah, I mean, parents for a long time have wanted to avoid this conversation. That's probably why it exists as a school curriculum, because parents are deathly afraid of talking about these subjects.
Which is not doing anyone any favors.
No, it's absolutely not.
If they're going to have a sex education program in schools, it should honestly just be about how to pleasure sexual partners.
That would be useful information.
It would be.
Yeah, they don't give you that, though.
No.
As a result, they have access to tech without having the skills to stop it getting in the way of real human interactions. Without proper education, we run the risk of raising an entire generation who are brilliant at using filters on selfies, but who lack the crucial social skills required to form healthy, loving, fulfilling relationships in adulthood. And now they're being
told... I hate
told...
that about filters. Like, if I'm interested in a girl and we become friends on Facebook or whatever, and she starts posting pictures, or she has pictures of herself in filters, it's done. I'm moving on.
Really?
Yeah. Because that person that you're posting a picture of, it's not you, bitch.
Not you.
It's not you. Yeah. That's you with heavy photoshopping done automatically by Snapchat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it bugs me, too. It bugs me, and now it's even worse because now on, like, the dating sites, they'll post photos of themselves in masks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't been on any of the dating sites since all of this.
My dating profile says, mask people swipe left. That's the first thing that it says. Dr. Mike Phillips, consultant psychiatrist and the leading UK authority on the treatment of psychiatric and addictive disorders, agrees, quote, "Our children are getting sexualized at younger ages than ever before. Graphic porn available on tech and video games damages the body images of children and the expectations of young people."
What video games is he playing? I don't remember Cloud and Tifa like stripping down and doing the business at the end of Final Fantasy VII.
There's more sex in games than ever before. I mean, I was surprised.
There's more sexuality, sure, but that's...
No, there was actual sex scenes in the Wolfenstein game that I played recently. I was surprised by it, right?
Like that's true. There's also the chopper game. What's it called?
Chopper game.
Yeah, it's notoriously
As in a helicopter
bad.
Chopper?
Like a bike game.
Oh, bikers, like a bike gang.
Yeah, but it was notoriously bad. I can't remember the name of it.
Is this recent years?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. I've not heard of it. But so there was actual sexual sex scenes in that game?
Well, yeah, but they were fully clothed, which just made it worse. Really?
I'm trying to remember if there was nudity in these scenes. It was definitely like sex was going on, but obviously it wasn't like hardcore porn or whatever. But it was like, for me, I was kind of surprised. Like, because I don't play a whole lot of video games these days, and I grew up in the 80s and the 90s when this would have been unheard of, right? Like when
hot coffee actually generated headlines, right?
Hot coffee would have been in the next decade. That would have been the aughts. That would have been what was that? Grand Theft Auto, Vice City, or
San Andreas
or something like that. So yeah, that would have been the mid-aughts. But for me, it was like surprise, like, whoa, this is actually kind of risque. To see that in a video game was, I mean, I'm used to seeing violence in video games, but
Sure.
I had not been used to seeing this level of sexuality before. And it happened more than once in the game.
I'm sure, and I guess I shouldn't be surprised because it's certainly all over television. So
Sure.
why shouldn't it be all and movies? So why not all over video games as well? What do you think? 855-450-3733.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now's your chance to be part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for everyone to use it in everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that's as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more, and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
A double stop. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump this hour holding a rally at an airport in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, pushing his accomplishments like border security and the creation of the Space Force. Earlier in Jupiter, Florida, he took action on offshore drilling.
I will sign a presidential order extending the moratorium on offshore drilling on Florida's Gulf Coast and expanding it to Florida's Atlantic coast as well as the coasts of Georgia and South Carolina.
The Biden campaign did not have any in-person events today. The police chief of Rochester, New York, and other commanders retiring following criticism of the handling of the investigation of the death of a black man days after an encounter with officers.
I want to assure our Rochester community that the Rochester Police Department will continue to serve and protect our residents and our neighborhoods. Chief Singletary will remain in charge of the department through the end of the month, and I know that he and the officers will fulfill their duties.
Mayor Lovely Warren, Daniel Prude was taken into custody in March. Police are seen on body cam video putting a hood on him to keep him from spitting, then holding him down for 2 minutes. More than a dozen firefighters hurt while battling one of California's many wildfires.
Officials with the Los Padres National Forest say 15 firefighters have been injured by the Dolan fire. Injuries range from burns to smoke inhalation. One crew member is in critical condition. Another is in serious condition. They were trying to defend a Forest Service station which burned to the ground. California Governor Gavin Newsom says of the more than 2.3 million acres that have burned in the state this year, 1.8 million of them have burned since mid-August alone.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. Late-stage studies of AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccine candidate are on hold while the company investigates a report of a patient with a serious side effect. America is listening to Fox News.
Adjusting to a new normal means we need to be smart about how we do business. Thousands of small business owners have discovered the benefits of Stamps.com and kept their businesses running while avoiding trips to the post office. With Stamps.com, you can print postage on demand and you'll never pay full price, with access to discounted rates you can't even get at the post office, like 5 cents off every stamp and up to 62% off USPS and UPS shipping rates. Don't waste time at the post office or UPS store. Print official stamps and labels right from your home or office computer for any letter, any package, anywhere you want to send. Once your mail's ready, just leave it for your mail carrier, schedule a free package pickup, or drop it off. It's a no-brainer. Right now, listeners get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale with no long-term commitment. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in Fox. That's Stamps.com. Enter Fox. Stamps.com. Enter Fox.
Elections officials in Georgia investigating allegations of people voting twice in this summer's primaries.
A review of statewide voting in Georgia with an increased number of ballots sent in the mail has unveiled possible voting fraud.
In both June's merged primary and August runoff, we have found potentially 1,000 cases of double voting here in Georgia.
Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger says investigations are underway but believes it's difficult to accidentally vote by mail, then show up at a polling place to do it in person.
We know one person was bragging about it down in Long County, and we'll be investigating.
Voting more than once is a felony, mandating prison time. Eben Brown, Fox News.
Scientists trying to figure out why obesity puts people at higher risk for getting very sick if they're infected with COVID-19. Excess weight increases the likelihood of health problems like diabetes that can make it more likely to get severely ill from the virus. But scientists say there's evidence obesity itself raises the risk of becoming very sick. They say the way
LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. As our contract with our satellite provider is coming up for another 3-year renewal, I have to consider calling it quits. It's rare that we get feedback or support from our satellite users. We started a fundraiser a few years ago, and though there are a bunch of great contributors to it, as of this recording, it covers 15% of our monthly satellite costs. Please email lrn@lrn.fm and tell me how you use the satellite feed. Better yet, chip in at fund.lrn.fm. The costs aren't the issue. We can afford them, but why continue something not valued by the market? Want to help? You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. Fund.lrn.fm.
For ages, scientists have associated the Earth's cosmic location with a wide spectrum of interstellar phenomena. But a study from the International Astronomical Union says that not only is the Earth far from the most interesting part of the cosmos, but is in fact located in the lamest, least awesome part of the universe.
We're billions of light years away from any supermassive black holes, interstellar explosions, or really anything even moderately cool. Our nebula just sucks so hard in comparison to some of the things out there.
Not only is the planet Earth and its solar system, quote, basically the most boring region of the entire universe, but a number of irregularly shaped galaxies illuminated in the Hubble Ultra Deep Field prove to be infinitely cooler than any of the weak-ass, boring-as phenomena occurring in the Milky Way.
I mean, there's a black hole out there that weighs 21 billion solar masses, and it's 336 million light years away. Our black hole? It couldn't tear a mid-sized star apart. We're the cosmic equivalent of a cul-de-sac.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. The only show where you can call in and talk about anything that's on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. With you in the studio tonight, it's Arya.
It's Ian.
And what's on some people's minds, evidently, is the internet and social media and just technology, their Google voice assistants and their Amazon assistants and just weird sexual leanings toward technology.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine. I mean, and I'm certainly somebody who's no stranger to technology. It's been involved in my life forever, basically. I mean, I have to be on technology in order to be on this show, in order to promote the show. Everything we do, we couldn't do if it weren't for the internet. We're big into cryptocurrency here on Free Talk Live. So, I mean, I'm immersed in this constantly. But there's never been a time where I've thought, that computer voice sounds really sexy. That's never really been anything.
Well, you don't use any of the voice assistants either, do you?
No, I don't. I tried to do the Google, whatever the Google one is, Google, what do they call it, Assistant, I guess. And it won't even work for my calendar, which would be the most useful thing, because sometimes I'm driving around and I think, I got to do this thing at this time, and if I'm driving, it's not exactly safe to use the phone to enter it in manually to the calendar. So it would be nice if I could actually tell it, hey, add this to my calendar. But apparently Google restricts the apps users, so we have freetalklive.com hosted by the mail end of that is for Google handles our mail,
right?
And I guess that gives you an access, so if I'm logged in with Ian at freetalklive.com, my email address, there's just certain things that they just haven't activated for the Google Assistant, and one of those things is a calendar feature, so I don't have access to that.
Okay, that's useless.
Yeah, it's basically useless.
I don't like the idea that they're always on. And I mean,
Yeah.
they could always be on anyway and listening, but
And you wouldn't know.
No, but one presumes that if someone would have discovered that, as they have with some of the, I think they were the Amazon thermostats or something.
Google's got Nest. They
Maybe
have
that was
their-
it.
Yeah, they have their thermostats.
But something was accidentally always listening. And I mean, they were sued and they ended up fixing it, I think. I don't remember the exact details, but presumably if these things were actually listening all the time, despite not being explicitly told to by activating one of these assistants, we would know. And it wouldn't last very long. But they could be listening anyway, but I don't like the idea of knowing that they're always listening.
So they're interviewing here. This is a story written by a psychotherapist. And in this case, they're talking with Dr. Mike McPhillips, consultant psychiatrist and leading UK authority on the treatment of psychiatric and addictive disorders, saying that children are being sexualized at younger ages than ever. Graphic porn is available on tech and video games, and it damages the body images of children and expectations of young people. He also says it sets up a disconnect between intimacy with tech and human-to-human contact. The irony that our current clinical consultations are being conducted online is not lost on those of us in the business. Technosexuals fall into the trap of mistaking connections via tech with actual intimacy. Since technosexuals write witty messages ahead of dates, which often never take place, or get set up and then canceled at the last minute, and not just through fears of coronavirus. COVID is giving air cover to their fears, and because tech can provide the illusion of intimacy, many technosexuals convince themselves that their intimate life is functioning, when it really isn't.
Now, I saw a lot of this a lot back when I was using Grindr, and I just assumed that it was because men no longer had a sex drive because it's so much easier just to do their own thing, right?
When you say you saw this a lot, what do you mean?
I mean, people would like set things up, and then they would just
ghost.
Yeah, and like regularly, 99% of the time, easily 99% of the time, that would be the result.
Wait a minute,
ultimately
99% of the time on Grindr, you would be ghosted?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is ultimately why I just stopped using it. I mean, it just wasn't worth the effort, right?
Right. That's a lot of failures.
Yeah. But that's largely what it was. I mean, because for them, talking to someone and then doing their own thing,
that was good enough.
It's good enough.
Good enough. They felt like, oh, well, this person was interested in me, so I'm interesting.
Yeah.
Done deal. Right? They didn't have to meet you. Now, whether that actually translates into sexual things, I mean, we can't get into too much detail on that, but like,
well, I mean, it's Grindr, so there's certainly like some degree of sexting and things like that going on. So they formed this sexual relationship online through an app, and then they do their thing and they're done, and they feel like that's as good as actually meeting
the real
this person.
thing.
Yeah,
and really getting that person off.
And that's pretty much the same thing that this psychologist here is saying, is that these people, they develop these intimate relationships online and they never actually pursue them because for them, the online version is good enough.
I think that's what we're talking about here. There's more, though. On face-to-face dates, even socially distanced ones, which, what's the point?
Social distanced dates.
Yeah, that's apparently a thing now. The technosexuals can become overly anxious. The phone in the pocket or bag becomes like a child's security blanket, something to be touched or looked at regularly to provide comfort. Technosexuals would go so far as to crowbar their tech into actual dates as much as possible, using their phones to Google trivia, display photos, showcase apps, or total up the bill. Quote, I appear really outgoing and engaged on dates, admits Jess, who's 39, but really, it's my smartphone performing, not me, she says. Now, for years we've seen this with people going out, not just on dates, but just, at a business meeting or whatever, going out with friends. The old challenge of putting the phones down in the center of the table, and the first person to touch their phone has to pay for the entire bill, like to try to
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, to try to discourage people from getting on their phone and getting distracted from the conversation. But I don't know, the interesting thing is to add the sexuality aspect to all this, like that there's something more going on for some people here than maybe was obvious.
I don't know if it's surprising because, as I was saying, you have all of these people who do live vicariously through social media, through video games, through World of Warcraft, through television, whatever. So for these people to take that one step further and achieve intimacy through the same thing that they're already achieving most of their human connectedness through.
Or what feels like intimacy for them.
Right.
Right.
To me, it's not surprising. I mean, that interaction on social media isn't any more real than these online, whatever it is they're
Video
doing.
Game. Yeah. Once again, or if in a relationship appears to be progressing, the avoidance side of a technosexual will kick in, which so that explains the ghosting that you were talking about before. Once again, tech can save the day by offering an emotionless route to end things. Technosexuals think nothing of closing romantic prospects down either by impersonal text or ghosting. Ghosting in particular is a classic technosexual behavior, since they are unable to relate to the other person as a human being, but rather as an object. Meanwhile, for the partner of a technosexual, it's as if, quote, there are 3 of us in this marriage, unquote. Many partners suffer in silence, ashamed to admit to friends or counselors that their love rival, the object that soaks up all of their partner's focus, is a piece of tech. That's got to be pretty bummer, right? Like, oh my God, I love this person, but they love their video games more than me.
Which isn't the fault of the partner, though. I mean, that's the fault. I mean, it's not the fault of the partner who's being pushed aside for the video game or the social media or the whatever.
They're just taking the brunt of it.
Right.
In that particular case. Dr. McPhillips is, like me, now treating an increasing number of married or partnered technosexuals who have lost themselves in webcam activity, replacing normal sexual interests with something much darker. Quote, the advent of online sex opens up opportunities for mutually consenting exploration, but in countless cases under my care, I've seen one partner take it too far, and the relationship is then irretrievably damaged, he says. Let's be clear.
What do they mean by taking it too far?
It's not real clear what they're referring to there, but perhaps the idea of rather than being – so, again, they're treating people who are already married or partnered, but they're also technosexuals, so they're still getting into the online maybe webcams. They mentioned webcam activity, which suggests that maybe they are viewing webcams of like cam girls or something like that.
Is that cheating?
Well, I'm sure your wife may think that's the case.
But in that case, just watching porn would be cheating.
Depends on what people think. I mean, I don't. Yeah. It depends on the agreement between the couple. Ultimately.
Hopefully, they don't have such bizarre agreements in place. 855-450-3733. Do you have any of these bizarre agreements in place?
Are you a technosexual? Do you want to admit to it?
Let us know. 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
She's a purebred, orange and white Brittany, but when we adopted April, she started scratching like crazy. I said, what you put into a dog is what you get out. DINOVITE.com. So we added a huge scoop of Dynovite in her bowl. She licked it clean. She loved it. Her coat is now soft. It's silky. Dynovite is nutrition.
You get some Dynovite, how happy your dog will be.
On Dynovite, she's Little Miss Hollywood. DINOVITE.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in to talk about whatever's on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. With you in the studio tonight is Aria and Ian. And from mid-March to mid-July, Divvy, the new easy-to-use cryptocurrency that we've been promoting here on Free Talk Live, increased in value by over 10 times. And nothing's stopping Divvy from increasing exponentially again. And in fact, that's their goal. Divvy's price jumped 10 times in correlation with the release of their beta wallet. But will they go up further when the wallet is fully released? I don't know, but at Free Talk Live, we're happy with our decision to hook up with them a year ago. You can go to divvyproject.org and begin earning Divvy by starting a masternode or by staking Divvy. They even have a lottery for people who stake the coin. Opportunity has knocked every day here on Free Talk Live since September. Will you answer? divvyproject.org. That's DIVI project.org. And let's go to the phones. We've got Angel calling from Arizona. Angel, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hello, everybody.
Hi,
Great
Angel.
conversation.
Thanks. What's on your mind?
Well, I got introduced to what you're talking about. Didn't know it had a name. Didn't know it had, characteristics of such. And the person's over in London, and I'm in Arizona. And I met on a game. One of those, it's a harmless game, at night, just playing. It's not an adult one. It's just a game.
Right, like World of Warcraft or something.
Some sort of online game where you're in there with multiple players. You can chat with the other players, right? That's how you met the person?
Yeah, it's real harmless and stuff like that. But he showed up right after my husband died. It was weird.
You mean he entered your life through the video game right after your husband died, or he actually came overseas?
He came into my life.
Okay.
He latched on to me. I was playing my game. I hadn't been chatting with anybody up until that point. I'd just been playing my game. And then my husband passes, and then I'm playing the game just to keep my mind off it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm home alone, and all of a sudden I meet this person. We're chatting, and it was quite interesting the first year, and then he go away for a while, and then he'd come back. You know, he's got a habit of doing that kind of a thing. He doesn't say much. He's not real You know, he doesn't say his feelings. I would ask him if he's a robot. You know, because who knows? You know.
Yeah, I mean, did you ever have any kind of further interaction outside of the game with him? Meaning, did you ever do a video chat?
Close. I saw. We got to see what each other looks like and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You know, as far as it went, but I mean, it was very interesting, and it's still there. But I get frustrated because he does. You know, it's like just he does say he cares, but
he said he cares. Is that what you said? I'm sorry, I couldn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
That he really cares about me, that he loves me, but he's not. He doesn't communicate it a lot. And this is for a game, a phone thing where you've never met them in person, but you've had a friendship since March of 2019. So
okay,
it frustrates me.
So does this person have any interest in pursuing a relationship further, or are you just like video game friends?
He doesn't even play on the game with me.
Mm-hmm.
He now communicates through Gmail.
Okay.
Now, do you feel like this is going to go somewhere? Is that what you want to happen? Do you? What does this mean to you?
I could care about this person very much because, he's the only one I've put so much time and interest in. He was very nice, cordial, and very close there for a while. But I don't think I'll ever see him in person is the thing. And I just asked him earlier, if I sent you a ticket, would you actually come? Because you never answered a while back.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a dead end, to be honest with you. And I'm older, and he's a bit younger, and I think I'm just climbing up the wrong tree. But, it's frustrating because I would like to he's not even my type. I mean, for God's sakes, I like surfer boy-looking boys. He's bald,
Yeah, I mean, the odds that you're going to encounter within a video game the person who you're physically attracted to is slim to none.
Now, Angel, I've got to tell you, I'm worried because there are a lot of people online who would pretend to have a relationship with you and who would pretend to, if you will send me the money, I will buy a ticket.
Oh, yeah. I was actually going to ask, has he ever asked you to send you some Bitcoin?
No, I won't do that. No.
Excellent. Well, be aware of these people because they're everywhere.
There's scam artists online. They're called romance scams.
I'm not getting involved. I've got my border collie. She entertains me. We play and we have fun. No, I don't need a replacement.
Gotcha.
We had a relationship over the year and a half, and if I was ever going to connect with somebody, it would be nice, but it's unrealistic, and I don't think he would because he's young and he probably plays, other games or whatever, and has 10 more on, that he
10
does
more
that
girlfriends.
I've always asked him. I've always been suspicious.
Well, Angel, thank you so much for the call. I hope it works out, but it sounds like this guy is more than likely
it's going nowhere.
Yeah, it's going to be a dead end. Well, let's keep going.
I mean, the fact is, dude's halfway across the world.
Yeah,
he's not someone you find attractive, so that's it. It's not going any further, and nor should it. You don't find the person attractive, so why would you want to spend any time doing anything else with that person, unless there's some other benefit that they can bring into your life.
Well, I've connected with people emotionally that I wasn't necessarily attracted to and didn't want like a romantic relationship with, but I wanted them to be part of my life.
Okay. Would you pay for them to fly over to visit you from halfway across the world?
No.
You don't want them that. You don't want to be you don't want them involved that badly then.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
They're nice to have at arm's length where they are.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then they're existing digitally. They're not a real person to me.
That's true.
They're just this imaginary person that exists largely in my mind.
In theory, they exist somewhere. Yes, and they're not
I'm
hopefully
sure
talking to a robot.
I'm sure that there is a real person on the other end, but the fact is that the image that I have of this person is 100% warped by their ability to portray themselves in a certain way on social media.
Sure.
You can't control every look you give someone in person.
That's right.
You can't control every angle from which they see you in person.
Unless,
you
of course, you're wearing a mask, in which case they can't see you at all.
Yeah.
Or barely.
I couldn't date a masked person, though. I couldn't. We would just argue constantly.
Socially distanced dating.
I can't believe
how does
that's
that
a
even,
thing, man.
you know, how does that even work? Like these online dating sites, they encourage people to do online dates. It's like, no, that's not the same thing. So
that's not a date.
No.
I mean, I guess it's literally a date, but it's not. It's a terrible date.
If a date has zero chance of moving to anything physical, I don't think it's a date.
You have a good point, because eventually they're going to have to not social distance, right?
That's supposed to be what happens. I mean, like,
is that what they want? They want Mormon-style marriages of like people sleeping in other rooms. This is Free Talk Live.
Postal Service files a patent for new blockchain voting method. Warren Buffett changes his opinion on gold. Maybe Bitcoin is next. $6 billion Akon cryptocurrency city underway. Former Prudential CEO says now's the time to buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies. Getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com. Subscribe to Bitcoin.com's YouTube channel too.
Every year, over 1 million fires burn in America. Fortunately, firefighters are on the job, saving life and property, and you can be a part of it. 7 out of 10 firefighters and emergency responders are volunteers. There's no typical firefighter. Anyone can volunteer to serve their community. Volunteering as a first responder is really about having the heart and drive to make a difference where it's needed most. Your community needs you. Are you ready to answer the call? Learn more and find local volunteer opportunities at makemeafirefighter.org.
Because we are smothering in spam, please do not reply to all when you can instead reply. I was recently among over 100 invited to a corporate reunion. It's always a warm affair, and that's the problem. Enthusiasm for our upcoming get-together caused many recipients to RSVP the organizer with a cheery reply to all. I can't wait. Then others piled on with a reply to all to that. Then the "I'm out of my office now" autoresponders joined in. So I replied to all, asking that we all reply only to the organizer. Hey, at least I tried. One invitee, apparently retired, shot back, "Point taken, but I really like seeing the responses since they're so positive." Smiley face. This better be an open bar. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20 mymagicmud.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live.
Why would they go around bombing people around the world? Doesn't that make us less safe?
Oh, you know what? I guess some of these people got it coming. It's a good day to be dead if you're a terrorist search.
How many of the people that the U.S. military has killed in the last decade have been terrorists?
A whole bunch of them. You know what?
percentage?
You sound like some liberal church.
What percentage?
A lot of people.
I'm not a liberal, sir. Liberals support war, from what I can tell.
Take a look. Obama looked at war when we need it. We have justifiable war. You know, there's people like you. Triumph when good men do nothing, you jerk.
Wait a second, Charlie jerk.
I'm not bombing anyone.
You can feel however you feel about me, but Smedley Butler, the 2-time Medal of Honor winning Marine, felt the same way.
Well, you know what? MacArthur had it the right way. You know what? We should have went after China. We should have chased those tricoms across that river, and we should have bombed them. We should have nuked them. We should have...
You are horrible.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. Live video of our key New Hampshire-based shows is streamed on DLive. Please follow and share at dlive.lrn.fm. That's dlive.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call in and talk about anything that's on your mind. That toll-free number is 855-450-3733. With you in the studio, it's Ian and Aria. And we're talking about technosexuals here, which are these people who become so caught up in their digital lives that it becomes a way of finding sexual arousal would be a better choice of word. And then they ghost people, and what was the other option they used to get out of these relationships? Once they actually look like they may go somewhere, they want to exist solely in the digital world.
It's satisfying to them,
Yes.
apparently.
And they have no need to allow that sexual world to interact with the real world. To them, the digital world is the one that matters. That's the entire world to them. To the extent
I'd say that's a good summary.
To the extent that they've forgotten that human-to-human interaction is a thing. And because they don't interact with people, they forget, how good it actually is to interact with another human being. They spend so much time in these Zoom meetings that they forget, hey, you know what? It's better to actually sit across the table from you than it is to each sit in our living rooms having a conversation on Zoom.
I totally agree with you that it is better. And sadly, the society with this whole COVID insanity is making all of this worse. Because now they're being reinforced. So these people existed before COVID, but now COVID and all the restrictions that have come up because of it are positively reinforcing their current value system and saying, oh, yeah, see, this is the way things are going. This is the way everything is going. You are on the cutting edge of this now.
And never mind, those people, what about the ones who were not technosexuals, but because they spent the last 4 months not interacting with other humans, now they've forgotten what that's like. And now to them, that social world has become all that is, and they have no further desire to go back to it, to the real world.
Yeah, I don't know. You
It's
and I,
scary.
we were talking about this idea of socially distanced dating, which I just find to be absolutely ridiculous. I mean, on its face.
Sad. It's sad.
I'm somebody who has no desire to reproduce whatsoever. I had a vasectomy when I was 23 years old.
I don't either, but I don't go on dates to reproduce.
But ultimately, that's what it's for people, right? Like having dates is to figure out, who is the most compatible with you, so you can ultimately have sex with that person and have children and propagate the species.
Sure.
That's ultimately the whole point of human dating and all of the things that accompany it, right? Well, now socially distanced dating is apparently a thing. And that means dating.
How does this work?
Apparently, it means meeting online, which means not really at all a date in any way, shape, or form, in my opinion. And it also means almost no chance of any kind of sexual activity, because if you're not meeting the person...
there's zero chance of sexual activity.
Right. And what is it like? I mean, has anybody gone on one of these so-called socially distanced dates? I mean, the person who you're on the other side of the table from presumably doesn't want you to touch them. So how do you get from point A, which is meeting the person, to point Z, which is being together with that person in an intimate manner? That to me is like mind-boggling, because if somebody wants to go on a socially distanced date, that suggests that they don't want you touching them.
I would tend to agree.
At any point. So that to me doesn't sound like a very interesting beginning to any kind of a relationship.
Or that maybe they just don't want you touching them until you're both vaccinated, until you get the Trump vaccine. Then it's okay to touch.
Maybe they have a certain set of requirements that must be met. I don't know what these people are thinking. I don't understand it.
Honestly, I don't think they are. I think they're just caught up in fear, and they're trying to live lives as normally as they can while being terrified out of their minds.
Yeah.
Well, let's go to the phones. We've got Dylan calling from New Hampshire. Dylan, you're on Free Talk Live. Are you with us?
Hello.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Hey, what's on your mind?
I'm talking about environmentalism.
Okay.
How does environmentalism figure into voluntarism?
Do you mean how does
Can you hear me?
protection of the environment, how does that figure into voluntarism?
Yes. In the ideal world, if we're all, in our own little groups, how can you figure out, like, if I'm working for myself and I pollute the river, how does that figure out for yourself?
Do you get water from the river?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, well, then you just killed yourself, right?
Well, he can pollute downstream. So he can get all the good
That's what I'm
water
saying.
and then pollute the other neighbors downstream. That presumes that there's no sort of mechanism for, holding people responsible for their actions. And I think that that's something people would want to have. So whether that be some sort of private court system or whatever that would end up looking like, if you pollute someone's property, generally most people would agree that that's an actionable tort, that you have a case against that person.
Hold on. If I have to hold somebody responsible for their actions, I have to hold somebody responsible for polluting the water, doesn't that imply that I have to use the use of force on them?
Right. So you're getting, you're in pretty deep in this example, which is fine, but you have to understand we've got to paint this picture. So what you're describing is a world where there is no state, there is no centralized monopoly over violence, right? That's the world you're talking about, a voluntarist sort of utopia world?
I don't think I'm very that deep in that state, man. That's like environmental science, like 101, man.
Huh?
Well, let me say this. That person polluting your river is causing damage to your property. If you have asked them to stop and they refuse to do it, they continue to damage your property.
Is the river my property?
You are within your rights to defend yourself and your property.
Is the river my property?
The river, if it's polluting your land,
it depends, man. It depends on what people agree with, right? So in some places you can own.
Anything that flows down from you, is that your property, or is that whose property is downstream?
If a river passes through my property, then at a given moment of time, there are water particles on my property that belong to me.
So is everything upstream your property?
No, it's only my property when it's on my property.
So a lot of this depends on what people agree to. So some people don't agree on ideas about. I'd like to answer the question. You asked a question. I'd like to give it a chance to get an answer out here. So I think what matters is what people believe about property, ultimately. And some people don't believe in property at all. And we can't get along with those people. Those people are called communists, and we do not get along, and so we couldn't possibly, I don't think, exist in the same society. So in order to have a functioning society, you have to have some level of an agreement about what property is. So maybe some people would agree with Arya that while the water is on her property, it does belong to her. However, most people would also agree that you don't get to just siphon off 100% of the river into your own little, holding basin and not let anyone else downstream have that. So it's not that you have total control. I don't think most people would agree that you can do that, right? And
I think I would agree that I couldn't do that.
Right.
Well, I don't know, couldn't. I would agree that it was morally wrong.
So is it really your property, or is it just this sort of transient thing that's passing through your property? I mean, it's an interesting discussion, but regardless, if you poison that water, and that water you pollute it in some way, and that water then goes on other people's property, then you have by proxy polluted their property as well.
Yeah, because some of it will get in the soil for certain.
Absolutely. And maybe they were drinking that water as well, and they are now unable to drink that water. So you've deprived them of that enjoyment. You've deprived them of the beauty that the stream was. Now it's green and it's black and it's ugly or whatever, right? So there's all these things that could be done as far as bringing some sort of a case against these people. But then the question really becomes, what does the justice system look like in a voluntarist world? And that is a whole other question and a whole other ball of wax.
I mean, people have written books
unravel.
about this. It's not something that can be tackled off the cuff
5 minutes,
on a radio show.
Not easily, yeah. But ultimately, rest assured, if people believe in the idea of property, then they will believe in the idea of protecting that property from polluters. And so there will be a system to hold those people accountable.
Yeah. If you have any further questions about voluntarism, I don't know where to address. I don't know where to send people on that to learn more about it.
I did a audiobook called The Market for Liberty, and it's very, very good on these issues.
The Market for Liberty.
Yeah.
With a MechTech carbine conversion unit, you can turn an XD family Glock or 1911 handgun into a carbine rifle in seconds and have it shipped right to your door, no FFL required. Now, MechTech is excited to announce our pistol carbine conversion unit. More compact with a 12-inch barrel and an arm brace, proving once again that MechTech is the world's most versatile handgun accessory. For a limited time, go to handgunconversions.com. That's handgunconversions.com and use coupon code RADIO to receive $35 off any carbine purchase.
Are you ready for what's next? It's likely coming. More food shortages, power outages, grocery stores closed, social unrest. Ask yourself, do you have enough food and supplies on hand to last at least 30 days? Most Americans do not, but you can. Avoid the panic of the last-minute rush. Order your 4-week supply of emergency food today from mypatriotsupply.com. Starvation or dependency on the government are your only alternatives. Avoid those and the pain of being unprepared. Go to mypatriotsupply.com right now. Build your emergency food supply with meals that last up to 25 years in storage, shipped discreetly to your door. Folks that know what's coming are using today to prepare. There's time for you to do the same. That's mypatriotsupply.com, the original Patriot Preparedness Company. mypatriotsupply.com.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to generate an endless supply of natural silver solutions. SilverLungs.com. You'll find no wild claims or pseudoscience, just a lifetime of nano-sized pure silver solutions. The Silver Lungs generator allows you to make your own, so stop paying for silver solutions. The unique lung delivery system targets respiratory infections where other silver solutions simply cannot reach. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at SilverLungs.com. That's SilverLungs.com.
The political world is a maddening cesspool of corruption and lies. Nobody tells the truth. Nobody keeps campaign promises. Nobody obeys the Constitution. Nobody puts the people first. How can we ever escape this web of tyranny? Vote for nobody.
Hi, my name is Nobody. I'm running for governor of New Hampshire because nobody knows how to live your life better than you do, and nobody deserves that kind of power. I want to put you back in control of your money, your lifestyle, your work, your body, and your life. Nobody should rule you but you. New Hampshire convicts many people of so-called crimes that should never have been prosecuted. If elected, I will pardon every victimless crime in New Hampshire history. This includes drug, gambling, prostitution, gun, and driving offenses. Nobody should have a criminal record when they have not harmed anybody.
Wouldn't it be nice to have nobody telling you what to do? Learn more at electnobody.com. electnobody.com.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. You can call it and talk about anything that's on your mind. And if you're quick, you can still get on the air with us. That toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, as in freedom. With you in the studio, it's Arya and Ian. And I want to say thank you to Chris R., who is tonight's amplifier. Chris R. is also a co-host here on Free Talk Live. So, Chris, thank you for liking the show enough to be one of the amplifiers. Now, this means he's a member of the AMP program. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. It's money that goes strictly to advertising, marketing, and promoting Free Talk Live. Help us get on more radio stations. The AMP program is the best way to do that. You can find out more about it at amp.freetalklive.com, as well as joining it. It only takes $5 per month to join, and it gives you a number of cool perks, like evidently the inability to be purged from the Discord server, which you can find at discord.freetalklive.com. There's also an AMP-only chat room and an AMP-only Facebook group and a couple of other cool little features like that. Again, that's amp.freetalklive.com. And Chris, thank you so much. I don't know when you're coming back. You're currently on hiatus from the show. I mean, you're a busy guy. Chris is a busy guy.
Busy, very busy.
But thanks for continuing to support the show while you're absent. Let's go to the phones. We've got Tom calling from New Hampshire. Tom, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, and Labor Day weekend is over. And autumn begins in 2 weeks on September 22nd at 13:31 Greenwich Mean Time. When do you estimate that Keene, New Hampshire will get its official first snowfall of 2020?
I don't think this matters in one way to any of our audience.
Well, you already got it back in January.
That was what he called in for? That was
it?
Yeah. That was it.
Jesus. Tom, that's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for you, dude. You want to take the next one?
You want me to take the next one?
Do you want us to take the next one? All right. We've got James from Arizona. James, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hello.
James,
gotta listen on hold, man. You can't listen on the radio or it'll be too delayed.
What are you doing? James?
Apparently he's not paying any attention whatsoever.
Are you having a stroke, dude? Oh, well. Moving right along then into James, we tried, man.
We did. You gave him a chance.
Yeah. Against all of our better judgment and against all the sanity and goodness in the world, we gave you yet another chance to say something on national radio.
Well, if you want to talk about sanity, here's another line that's a real winner from this story about technosexuals, which we're almost done with. But again, talking about these folks that seem to have, and again, we're both brand new to this term tonight. I had never heard it before coming across this story. But it does seem to be about people who get some form of satisfaction, whether it's sexual or not, or just sort of pleasure in general, from their interactions with these devices, their interactions with these websites, getting likes and things like that. That somehow this is, for them, a replacement for real intimacy with another human being. And here's a quote from, again, they've focused on 3 or 4 different folks in this particular story. This is Graham. He's 42. He's an accountant and has been married for 2 years. So again, there's the types of what they call technosexuals who aren't in a relationship except with their tech. They're not in any sort of meaningful relation. But then there's these other people who are, this guy's married, right? So he has a wife. He says, quote, "My wife can't understand why I resist being intimate with her, but I can't admit that I'm terrified of getting close."
But this is his wife.
That's what's so shocking about this. Why are you married, dude?
How did you get married without being close to her?
That's what I don't understand. I mean, I could understand.
Did the social media, did the digital, the technology, did it drive a wedge into your marriage, and now you're like sleeping on the couch each night and you're like, I don't know how to fix this? If so, the solution is pretty simple. Put the damn phone down.
Yeah, put the game down. Go in without the phone to the bedroom and just try something.
Yeah.
Try snuggling or whatever. Maybe that'll lead from one thing to the next, and then who knows, you might have a relationship again. I don't know.
I would imagine some sort of apology is going to be in order. Like if he just goes in there and starts cuddling with her, I imagine she's going to be like, I want a divorce.
Yeah, let's talk.
Yeah. But if you go in there and you're like, hey, look, I've got a problem.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to address that.
Right. Can you help me?
Yeah. That would be the way to go here, dude.
So, yeah, and it's like maybe it's just hard to understand how somebody could get married. And I guess I could see if they'd had an intimate relationship and then it being like broken up by a video game addiction or something like that. That
sure, but
I
within
could see
2
that.
years,
yeah,
that to me is something that would take more like 5 to maybe 7.
Right, and even then, he uses the term resist being intimate with her, and then he says he's terrified of getting close. Well, so have you ever been intimate with her? Were you intimate with her prior to getting married? Because I would hope that you were, because otherwise, why did she marry you? Maybe he's super wealthy or something. There's something else going on here. Why would a person want to marry another person to whom they are not, or with whom they're not intimate in any kind of way, shape, or form?
Well, I know there are like Christians who do this sort of thing. There's one married Christian couple. They've been married now for I think several years, and they've never. What's the word I'm looking for? They've never
consummated.
Thank you. They've never consummated their marriage, and I mean, it's as stupid as you would expect. And to address these things, like when the guy was feeling roused, he would eat an entire raw potato. Right,
and that would kill
that's
his
the kind of
arousal?
insanity you have to go through in order to avoid close physical intimacy with someone
Jesus
that you're.
do?
He probably would not eat a whole raw potato.
Yeah,
that's just bizarre. But I mean, why would you want to get married to someone? I mean, even in the Christian worldview, and not have sex with them, or to not have any physical intimacy with them whatsoever.
Okay, right, because I could understand there are people who are called asexuals, right? Like an asexual is somebody who has no desire for sexual contact whatsoever.
Do they get married?
I presume they do. But here's my question. Does an asexual have desire for intimacy, right? Because there is a difference, right? There's a difference between being intimate with somebody and sex. I mean, they're close.
Yeah.
They're both intimate acts. Sex is certainly an intimate act.
Well,
generally.
it can
be. There are non-intimate ways of doing it, glory hole or whatever. But without going further. But it's just so bizarre, to hear these folks that are in relationships and quote terrified of getting close to his own wife.
And that doesn't mean terrified of having sex with his own wife. It just means terrified of being intimate with her. I cannot imagine how that happens.
So strange. The good news is, according to the article, that help is available. Technosexuals can embark on one-to-one therapy. Or if you suspect your partner or date prefers their tech to you, speaking up for yourself is important to clarify what is and isn't acceptable to you. Or sufferers can take up a daily meditation practice, such as the Vedic meditation taught by some people to develop an enhanced awareness of their own body and emotions. If we're not careful, mindful even, tech has the power to tempt all of us to invest too much time in a, quote, virtual, unquote, life at the expense of our real one. Now, whether you're a technosexual or not, that's a real threat, I think, to everybody these days, is that tech is subsuming reality, and that endangers human relationships.
Well, it clearly does, and the COVID nonsense is not helping.
No.
I mean, now it's normal to put your human relationships aside in order to pursue these digital ones.
Now it's normal to not even look at other humans as humans, to instead look at them as these disease-carrying pests
Plague
who need
rats
to be avoided.
is what they're called. Plague rats is what they're calling us.
Right.
Like when we had the I didn't make it to it, but when you had the anti-mask rally, you didn't have it. But when there was an anti-mask rally here in Keene, someone was posting in this fake digital world, is anyone going to Corona Fest? Because I want to know who the plague-ridden rats are and how to avoid them. It's just nonsense. This is not.
You're not a human anymore. You're a rat.
Yeah. And I mean, early on in this pandemic, China had signs up that said something horrific like, "Every single person you see is a ghost waiting to kill you." And things like that. It's like this is not a healthy way for a social animal to act. This is widespread insanity if you understand that humans are social animals, being the most antisocial they could possibly be in the year 2020 because they're so terrified of dying of this disease that really doesn't seem to be killing very many people that they refuse to live. I don't see the point in it. What is the point of dating if you can't procreate? And what is the point of living if you can't actually live?
Yeah, if you're not going to get close to a person, I don't understand.
Yeah, at that point, you might as well just sit at home playing put on your Tron mask or whatever. I've never seen Tron. Put
your
in
virtual reality.
Yeah. And that's
I like
the world
this
you
last
can live
line.
in.
Only by living in the present is a person free to let go of unhealthy technosexual behavior and to continue using tech healthily instead of it dominating and warping their lives. But you got to stay on top of it. You can't let it take control. It's not easy.
No, too many people do. I mean, too many people don't pay attention to these things as they. I imagine that's what happened with this married couple. They just didn't notice it, and then suddenly it was too late.
Man.
And they didn't know how to go back. Thanks for listening. This has been Free Talk Live.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had got involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to